Welcome to the 12th episode of the Super Spectrum. I'm Bear Truth, joined by my cousin Katie, Gleeful Demons, and my friend Trevor. Today we're going to be reviewing K-pop Demon Hunters.
This one was my suggestion.
Yep, yep. Katie said that she wanted to review the movie and she enjoyed it. She didn't hype it up too much for me because she said she did that intentionally so that I would just go and go in without any high expectations, so I could just see it like she saw it. And we were talking about it earlier. She didn't really know about K-pop that much, or she wasn't into K-pop. Neither am I. Doubt Trevor is. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the film. And my short review, like we always say, it's all about the breakdown here, even though it's called a review. My short review is that I thought the movie was really stylish, smooth, smart. It was cool to see a culture other than our own and have that culture be all those things I just said, you know, smart, cool, fun.
Portrayed on the screen as such.
Yeah, exactly. Portrayed on the screen as such. And I don't think I really have any flaws other than maybe the it was it was a very subtle approach to the subject, which I loved, but maybe I like a I like more a more focus on that on the deep messages. And although the whole movie is about it and it never strays away from it, it's never superficial. I think the subject maybe could have been talked about more, even though, that's sometimes a thing in films people always crap on, is that, oh, they're explaining it too much what the movie's about,
Right.
which is completely understandable. And this movie didn't do that, doesn't hold your hand. So I appreciated that. And yeah, so maybe my only thing is like, it could have been even deeper if you did do that, but I understand why they probably wouldn't want to do that. And so yeah, I would probably give it like a 9.5. The 0.5 for me is probably, or the whole point is just like maybe even it is like it's a subject that is so deep, and as deep as it gets, like talking about your demons and your unconscious and your shadow and the fears and desires that rule you. But and like that you know materialism versus spiritualism, and togetherness, or and separation and division versus unity and togetherness. So but I think maybe there's more deeper nuances that I enjoy more sometimes when it comes to that discussion. Like, even though it focused a little bit on it when it comes to selling your soul for fame, um, I think maybe it could have been a little bit deeper in some ways. So, or maybe more more explored. But I really love the movie, and I have some notes, so we'll get into that. But since Katie loved it so much, maybe she could go next.
Sure.
Okay.
Um, quick synopsis or quick review. I would say I think this. Well, let me preface by saying that I've had about a month, I would say, of time sitting with this movie because me and my husband watched it together purely on a whim because I had heard about it and I heard it was getting a lot of attention and buzz. And I was just very curious, but I try to go into as many movies as I can knowing as little as possible because I find that expectations a viewer's own expectations of a movie can determine how it's perceived ultimately. So the only thing I knew about it going in is that K-pop is Korean pop. That's it. um, and I think that really led to me having a really enjoyable experience watching the movie. I think overall, I would say, in my own opinion, I think it's one of the, this might sound hyperbolic, but I think it's one of the greatest animated movies made, at least in recent years.
No,
Um,
I think that's super. Yeah,
I
that
love that
that's
it's a new IP. I was just saying that as we walked out of the theater. We went to see the sing along event. I want to ask you about how your experience, how you thought about that, by the way, but we can get
Oh,
into that later.
I didn't know if the subtitles were always on the screen. I like subtitles, so
I do too, but
I
I think it was just for the songs.
oh, and that's in the that's not in the regular movie.
No, they weren't in the regular movie. I mean, we
Oh,
watched it
okay,
with regular subtitles anyway, so but it had all the regular subtitles like closed captioning with all of the dialogue.
right.
But in the theater that we just left, it was they only had the subtitles for the songs.
Yeah, and I like
Um,
that.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was.
thought it was good. One of my concerns when we were going to see a sing-along event,
Mhm,
and it was your first time seeing it,
mhm,
I think I'd seen, there's a sing-along version on Netflix. I watched that one, and the lyrics are kind of bold, in your face, stylized with the animation, like
mhm.
taking up a lot of the screen. So I was kind of hoping the theater version wasn't going to be like that because it would obstruct a lot of the action and visuals.
Mhm,
And thankfully, it wasn't like that. So I was very relieved for that.
mhm.
Um, I think overall, I'd give it 9.8 out of 10, if not total 10. I acknowledge it's not perfect. I have problems with it as well. We'll talk about those later. But to me, it gives me, I said this too earlier, it gives me Disney Renaissance vibes. Like Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, that era of Disney animated movie, where they're presenting a Western audience with a different culture that we're not all familiar with. Uh, this one might not specifically be a classic story from that culture. I'm not entirely sure. However, I do know that the makers of the movie were very intentional on having a lot of traditional Korean lore and imagery and Korean culture portrayed in the movie, which they definitely succeeded there, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and general audiences and people who are more familiar with Korean culture have received it well as well. Um, However, this movie is not made by Disney. um, I actually wore my Walt Disney World shirt, kind of ironically, today. This is made by Sony, who also makes the Spider-Verse movies,
Yes.
which are also fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot of its visual style from anime,
Mm.
which I feel like maybe if you're not a total weeb like I am, you might not appreciate that as much, but stellar visuals either way. Um, I think that's it for my quick, it might not have been so quick, but my quick initial review.
Awesome, Katie. Real quick, just want to comment. I do think I don't think that's hyperbolic at all that you said that the movie is like your favorite animated movie in years. I think
Mhm.
Encanto stood out for me. Uh, I'm sure there's another one that I'm not thinking of, but other than that,
Yeah,
but since then it's been kind of dry. Another thing, real quick on that, what she said. Yeah, I noticed they said pattern when it came to the demon, like
the
tattoo thing.
markings
Yeah, the
on their skin,
markings.
yeah.
The pattern that must be like a South Korean or not South Korean, a Korean, maybe only South Korean, I don't know, but like a Korean term.
Potentially,
Yeah,
yeah. I think it can also apply to, a large theme of the movie is
negative
the central
patterns,
theme, right, is your
habits.
negative side of yourself or your
Yeah,
shameful side.
yeah,
So, and we all have those patterns that we
get stuck in.
get stuck in, right? Like,
Yeah,
from
glad you thought of that too. Like
yeah,
maybe we only. Oh no, they probably if it's in Korea, they probably have that term as a double meaning, right?
hmm
Pattern that you have on you and then pattern that you follow.
hmm
But anyways, yeah, a
There's
lot of
a
double.
double meaning in this movie that we can talk about later that I want to point out for any viewers who don't know. Um, like I said, I've been sitting there with this movie for a long time, and I've been consuming a lot of reviews and content
Yes,
about it and
yes,
stuff.
yes.
So uh, I think it's safe to say I am a huge ultra fan of this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to any potential sequels that come. They're definitely coming. They've already been confirmed pretty much. So,
Right.
oh, one of the other things I wanted to say real quick, I know the the story and the narrative itself isn't necessarily unique. Like I think I just described it to you as like it's very similar to Frozen with the themes of like freeing yourself, like at the end when she finally lets her patterns show.
Hmm.
We're in spoiler territory now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, it gives very Let It Go vibes,
Hmm.
but to me it hits harder here, and I can get into that later.
Okay.
It's also very Powerpuff Girls,
Hmm.
which is I love that. Again, nothing new. It's a trio of superhero
Yeah.
girls,
Yeah, I didn't know.
but I don't think it didn't feel stale to me.
Right. Hmm.
So so much more to get into. I'm really
Yeah.
Yeah.
excited to get more into it.
Can't wait.
What about you, Trevor?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even I like the Powerpuff Girls, and I didn't even think about that. So it wasn't like super. Uh, it's not played out at this point. The Supergirl trio, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
the movie itself though, yeah, it was super cool visuals, like you guys said. I'm not like a I'm not really a big fan of musicals normally, but this one was really good, and I think the reason I don't normally like musicals is I don't really like that style of music where it's
Hmm.
like, oh, this is like a musical song, and this was just like good. I mean, yeah, it's like K-pop songs, I guess,
Yeah,
and so they were just like regular songs basically.
Hmm.
yeah. It
Um,
was like you said, hip hop, pop. It's K-pop. Like
yeah,
that's something else I've heard about with this movie is they studied K-pop like so much to get it right for this movie, and there's a lot of it's very faithful to to the whole genre of K-pop, and they tried to also incorporate a lot of um, the archetypes with that as well. We can talk about that some more later too. But I think there's only one like typical musical style song in this movie, and the rest of them, yeah, are just pop like bangers.
right. Yeah, I the one of the first songs. I don't know if this is, I guess, a review, but kind of like my own perspective on it. There was like uh three groups of people in the theater, including me as a group. So like there was like a couple next to me, and there was a family behind me, and I could hear this little girl like talking, and normally that really gets on my nerves when people talk, but like I was like it was kind of funny in this instance. It For like the first couple scenes, I was like just feeling awkward, like, oh, I'm like a grown man in this clearly like girl power like kids movie, and like and she made it very apparent, like, oh, this is a girl kids movie, not necessarily like anyone can watch it, anyone can enjoy it. Boy, I have two little cousins who are boys, and I thought about one of them, like he would probably really like this, um, because he likes that kind of music. He actually likes K-pop. He's like 8 years old and he likes
Mm,
K-pop. And um so in what I was gonna what I brought that up was like one of the first songs. I'm like a hip hop is like or rap is kind of like my main genre I listen to. And so like when they were rapping at first, I was like kind of as well as like I think it was a combination of like they're rapping and then like me being a grown man watching this, I was kind of cringing at first. But then I was like, I'm here. This is a good movie. No one can see that I'm in here and I don't really care if they can. So like I'll just enjoy it. And after that, like yeah, all the songs were good. Um it was just like that first song I was like this is kind of like when they rap, at first I was just like, oh, this is kind of goofy, but no, it was good. I actually listened to one of the songs on the way home, the Golden song. That's like a
Yeah,
really good song. And so yeah, music was good, visuals were good, the story was good. Mike is right in that it like it wasn't super, it was clear what the message was, but it wasn't, yeah, it was like a deep message that they just kind of let um let it be known, but didn't like go into, yeah, they didn't really go into any crazy deep lore or history. There was a little bit of it, but like just enough. And yeah,
I think it's a very fine line with movies or any storytelling for that matter. Like over explaining versus leaving it up to interpretation or leaving the audience wanting more. There's a it's a very tricky balance because and I think this movie was kind of in the sweet spot because like you said, it is clear what the ultimate message is, but at the same time they don't like shoehorn it or force it in down the audience's throat, you know. I feel like I've had plenty of experiences with both sides of that. Over explaining, like I mentioned, I think when we talked about Frankenstein, uh, I don't know if you saw that, Trevor, because we
yeah.
reviewed that one with Jorge, but there's a line in that movie where he literally says, like, one of the characters literally outright says the ultimate like point of the movie is that Dr. Frankenstein is the real monster, you know. I
Mhm.
thought that was like too much. Like that was outright flat out explaining it to you.
Yeah.
Versus on the opposite side of that, I think I talked to Mike about this about the movie Mother, uh, which is a very good movie, but watching it, I don't know if you had seen that, but it's a horror movie,
Mhm.
and the whole time watching it up and all the way up until it ended, I was completely and totally lost. Like I had no idea
Yeah.
what they were trying to say. I had no idea what the point of the movie was about. I thought it was just chaos on screen the whole time. I was like, why? What was the point of that?
Right.
Until I watched a review and they explained like what the story was. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't get that at all. Like I feel like they
That
could
movie's
have
crazy.
given a little bit more to help me understand. So that's where I kind of
Mm,
feel like
that's good.
that's one example of them going too far and another example of them not going far enough, at least to
Yeah.
me. But I feel like this is one of those movies that is falls in that sweet spot range.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely in the sweet spot, I would say as well. The last two things I would say is a review. It I said something about in our first episode about the little dinosaur in Jurassic World Rebirth. This like little dinosaur that they made, like clearly they wanted to be like this iconic, cute character that like no one's going to care about, and they don't care about now. And so like they're not gonna care about it in 10 years. But the blue tiger thing was like the coolest, cutest thing I've seen in a long time. Like super cool character design. That's like my favorite thing is character design. Maybe not my favorite, but I really appreciate that stuff. And that one is very iconic and unique. I mean, not
I
totally
agree.
unique. It kind of reminded me of the like cat bus thing from
Oh yeah,
Toro Toro,
I
like
can
in
see that.
the way it looked, but
That's a
also its like whole
like
vibe. It was like a messenger that traveled with them and it didn't speak, but it moved really weird.
Hmm.
But visually, it was completely unique and really cool. Oh
mm.
yeah, one, two more things about the review. I
You want to say something about the
typically,
tiger real quick?
yeah,
So the tiger is the messenger, like you just said, but it is a animal, and those that demon is more primal or your instinctual, or your lower self. And notice how the animal that kind of represents that wild, untamed part of you.
mhm,
Um, which you're supposed to really harness and make it like useful for your goals, like treat your desires not as something that you're unaware of and so they control you, but treat your desires as something that you know turn into goals and are not controlled by it in like a bad way where you'll jump at any sort of possibility for that to be fulfilled, like make sure you go towards the highest version of those desires. And
Yeah.
anyways, that animal, that tiger being so neutral in the movie, like it just works for either side. um I feel like is representing that, how you know you basically face your demon, and then you integrate your shadow,
Mm,
and then like I said, you harness it to work for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
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 Um, I can say something real quick about the tiger. Again, I've consumed a lot of content about this movie. Um, the the derpy looking tiger and the
Mhm.
bird are actually representations of, and very faithful representations of, a piece of Korean art history. This is what I've learned. The derpy, they would like, so in the past, like hundreds of years ago, Korean, like the common people would paint these beautiful paintings of tigers and make them look stupid on purpose.
Mm.
And also pair them with a magpie bird. And it has symbolism. The tiger is like a typical symbol of like power and strength,
Hmm.
but they drew him stupid looking on purpose because he was supposed to be a representation of the wealthy or the or the royal class of
Yes.
citizens. So
Right.
it was a common people's take, or
Right.
like commentary on
Caricature.
the
Yep.
higher class of
Yeah.
people. Yes. And the bird represents the common people. So that scene, so when you know this, that scene where she asks, "Why does the bird wear a hat?" And he says, "I made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps taking it."
Right.
When you know this context, it like takes on a whole other meaning.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they didn't just draw the tiger to look dumb and like marketable,
Hmm.
Right.
it's
No,
like
that's really cool.
actually historically accurate.
That
I love that, just makes me love it all the more.
Yeah.
that hat is like a crown, or like the civilized, I am, um I have, I'm beyond the animal kingdom,
Hmm.
and that the who said that, he made it for the tiger,
The
but
demon dude.
Genu, the character Genu, the demon
okay,
head
so
of the
and
boy band.
that's Jin, that's a name for demons in general.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I have some stuff that I caught that was like super subtle,
Hmm.
but yeah, definitely. But I want to.
I think just one or two more things to say.
Hmm.
The I don't normally like the I don't know how many it is, but when they lower the frames per second to like
Hmm.
make it look like, I know they did that with Into the
And
Spider-Verse,
Hmm.
and like yeah, those movies are both of those, the Spider-Verse and K-pop
hmm.
Demon Slayer, or is it Demon Slayer? Demon Hunter.
Demon hunters.
Um yeah, they both are good enough movie, or they're really good movies that like I kind of forgot about it. But at first it's
Hmm.
like, to me, I get what they're doing. It does look like kind of cool, but it's just like, to me it's like jarring at first, and like
For sure.
it almost makes
Hmm.
me like motion. It doesn't make me motion sick, but it makes me a little bit like a little
No,
bit
I definitely
dizzy.
understand that.
Yeah.
That was one of my critiques when I saw the movie for the first time, was the frame rate. And it's like, I think it's twofold, that it's a stylistic choice, but it's also a budget choice because
Hmm.
animating less frames takes less time and costs less money.
Yeah. No, so I get it, and it does. Yeah, like by the end of the movie, I totally went with it. It like smoothed out, like I got used to it
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
Right.
Same here. Same here.
Also, I
And
don't think I think there's I think the frame rate fluctuates throughout the movie. Like it's not one way or the other
Mm.
the entire way through. Like I think it
Right.
changes a bit here and there. So like some scenes the frame rate's lower, some scenes it's smoother. So I think it alternates.
Yeah, they did it. There was some sort of like artistic, creative purpose for their use in it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Eventually, I didn't even like. Not only did I not notice it, but I'm sure there was scenes where it was way smoother and scenes where it was way choppier that I didn't even, and like you're saying, there was probably a specific reason and I didn't even pick up on that at that point. Um
Yeah, I can
there
see
was
that.
one more thing. The um I think maybe I was just gonna say I would give it like a 7 just because like just my own personal taste. I really enjoyed it, but like at a certain point I was just like not fully into it. Like I like really enjoyed it, but yeah, I eventually stopped caring like what was going on only because maybe I was just like seeing it late at night or something. Maybe it's been a long week. Maybe if I saw it like at a different time, I would be like, "What's gonna happen?" But like yeah, by the end of it, I was just like, it was kind of an abrupt ending almost. It wasn't like abrupt,
Hmm.
but I thought there was gonna be more, and not in a bad way. Like I just didn't really expect that's how it was gonna end, which is like not a bad thing. Um, it was a great ending. Um, so yeah, 7 is a good score for me. That's like a C plus, or it's not failing or close to it, but kind of.
I think it's far surpassed anything Disney's done in the last 5 to 10 years.
Well, yeah. For context, yeah, anything from Disney would get like a 3 or a 2
Oh
from
yeah,
me.
for
Not
sure.
not I've never seen Encanto. I'm sure it's good. Um, based on Mike's judgment. Um, but yeah, a lot of the movies I've seen, animated movies I've seen in the last like 10 years, uh, would get like a really like yeah 2, 3, a 1. So a 7 means I really liked it. Um, but I'm not probably. I might watch it again with like my sisters or something, but I'm not gonna like watch it by myself. And that's probably, like I said, that's based on my enjoyment. And ultimately, I would say like this is a 9 or 10 for kids. Like I would recommend this to anyone with kids or stuff like that.
For
And not
sure.
saying it's just a kids movie. Just like I am like kind of this like a dude. So at the end of the day, um,
It hits different for a single guy in his late mid to late 20s.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate it. Don't get me
Oh
wrong. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think it definitely has broad appeal, but I think they did call it something so like crazy and out there as K-pop Demon Hunters. I
yeah,
think they titled that very on purpose because it definitely grabs your attention.
Nice.
Um,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but I've been seeing a lot of reactions and things like comments on the YouTube videos like I'm a single 37-year-old man and I'm sitting here bopping to Golden.
yeah, yeah. No,
You
that's how I
know,
felt in my car ride home.
yeah. I'm a 50-plus-year-old dad. My kids are all moved out and I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I definitely don't think it's just for kids or just for females. I think it does have a lot of broad appeal, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
To add
no,
to your
I
point
completely agree.
with the title, um, it's like the people who are going to have like the um like non-judgmental like attitude of like not judging a book by its cover, right? Basically the people who are going to be able to go to a movie called that are all going to like it basically because they're all open people.
Right.
So it literally means
You're expecting to see something you're not like you don't always see in
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. Well, and you're a person who like is first off open to other cultures. Second off, aren't scared to have demon in the title. You
Yeah.
know,
Like I feel like a lot of people would be turned off immediately just that there's K-pop in the title
yeah,
because I only knew what K-pop was, like I said earlier. But a lot of people would be like, "Oh, K-pop, I don't know what that is. I'm not interested in that."
yeah,
You know.
that exactly too. Like, I'm not interested in it, but my cousin said it was good. I like animation. I love stories that have to do with spirituality, and demons, of course, are
That's
gonna
something I did want to touch on too, that I thought of earlier, but I haven't gotten a chance to say it yet. The stories with these themes and these underlying messages of dealing with, the dark side of yourself or your demons, per se.
Mhm.
Stories like that are very close to my heart and hit close to home for me. As someone who's dealt with their own struggles. And everyone's dealt with struggles, but I always appreciate a good coming to terms with your dark side storyline. And like I said too, it's that part is not necessarily anything new. I guess I can talk about how it relates to Frozen because I know you haven't seen Frozen. I don't know about you, Trevor, but
Yeah.
there's a very strong message of not being ashamed of yourself or hiding your darker side in that movie also. However, I think this movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, hits a little, I think it drives home that point a little bit better because I think what the scene most people think of in Frozen is Let It Go, the Let It Go scene.
Mhm.
It's an iconic song and that scene is very impactful because she finally sets herself free. However, I think this movie succeeds a little bit more in driving home that point because when Elsa has that scene, she's on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere alone. It's very easy to be free when you're in that state or when you're in that environment. This movie, however, when she finally sets herself free, she's at the center of a huge arena of people, surrounded by everyone.
Yeah.
And they say in the movie that one of the main point of their music is to bring everyone together.
Mm.
So I think that's where this movie succeeds a little bit more with that point. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
so that's what I kind of wanted to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the aspect of like the singing is what puts away the demons, and using your voice,
Yes,
they say in particular, because if
it's
we
been
don't talk
proven.
about it.
It's been proven too that singing
Mm.
helps your anxiety, helps with anxiety and things like
Right.
that. But yeah, singing is just another way of expressing yourself
Right.
too. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
there.
that's I'm glad you did added. Trevor, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, no, that was something I forgot about in what I was saying about the whole movie is that it's just like yeah, it definitely was emotional. I get kind of emotional easily in movies. Like I'm like the type of guy like I'll get emotional in a commercial where they're like the guy's like just like it's pretty easy to get me, but
That's so sweet.
this
I love that.
yeah,
Because
but it's
I'm
like the
exactly the
cheesiest
same, to be
stuff with
honest.
commercials. It'll be
Like all it
like the
takes is that ASPCA commercial, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to leave the room.
yeah, or like even I can't think of an example. I don't really watch TV, but like or like for a while I just don't have a TV in
Well,
my
who
room
does
or
anymore?
anything. But like or like cable TV specifically with
Right.
commercials. But like it'll just be a commercial where the dad like I don't know comes home from the army or like and it'll just be like that one moment where like the one person like looks at him and they're like dad And I'm just like-
Yeah.
or like something like that. But this one, so my, but with movies, okay, songs and commercials will get me. Actually, I just kind of realized movies, it's not as easy because I'm also like analyzing the movie. I'm not analyzing a commercial or a song as
Right.
much. It just kind of, I go with the song and I'm like, oh wow, this song really, this is getting to me. But with movies, I don't often super emotional, but I will when there is an emotional scene. And there was like a bunch in this movie, like um so like I said with the songs too,
Hmm.
those are very emotional, like yeah, the message of like hiding your true self or your darker side, and then um the guy kind of being hiding that he, you know, was selfish, and he lied to her about like his true story. So she's kind of hiding her true self, and he's hiding his true self in a way.
Hmm.
But that's what's super deep. Something that's more deep about the movie is like she recognizes that's not his true self. And Mike and I were actually talking about just like not even about this movie. Today we were just on the phone talking about all kinds of stuff, and it all kind of related to this. And at the end of the conversation we were like, wow, we're about to go see K-pop Demon Slayer, because we were talking about like demons and stuff,
Should probably turn off those
and
notifications.
your true self. And ultimately what made me think of that conversation is it's not someone, one of us said like it's not what you uh who you are. It's not who your what your body is. It's not who you are. It's what you do with your body, or like how you behave. And she kind of like
Exactly.
expressed that to him in one scene where it's like you are not, just because you did that, that's not like who you are necessarily. You still have a chance to be um saved or free, as they put it.
I think she also said too, when he revealed that secret to her, that he made the choice to abandon his family. She said, "You made a mistake." And, we all make choices in the moment. And he clearly suffered a lot of guilt over that choice and realized it was probably the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Everyone can make the wrong, anyone is capable of making the wrong decision in a really, in the heat of the moment type of scenario. So, yeah, that doesn't necessarily have to determine who you are as a person. It's, I think, once it becomes a repetitive kind of pattern of behavior.
Good, smart. Yeah, that's when it starts really taking over you,
Yep.
and that you become more of that. No, and here's the thing.
Mike and I were talking about before we started this review the use of the word patterns
Yes.
to
Yeah.
describe the markings the demons had in the movie.
Right.
Are you going to bring that up next?
We were talking in the review too.
Oh, okay. I didn't,
We
sorry.
already talked
Can't
about
keep track.
pattern, right?
Did we? I thought
Yeah.
it was before we started the
yes,
review.
because
I can't
No.
remember.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that yes, the pattern is huge. We were just talking about that. And there's a phrase, don't judge a person on their worst day, or don't judge it,
Hmm.
something like that. Like a person can't be judged, like a person shouldn't be judged on how they
By
acted
one bad day.
by one bad day, something
I
like that.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
And another thing that I often I don't say that one because clearly I don't really remember what it is, but oftentimes though with students and people that I work with, children, I'll say, don't call him a bad person, don't call him a bad kid, right? Uh, I make bad decisions and I also make good decisions, but I don't solely make either one, right? So you can't
Mhm.
just say I'm a good or a bad person. I'm a person, and
Right.
you know, on depending on that time, and the choice that I make, I either make a good or a bad choice. But I'm not solely one or the other, and we shouldn't say that about anyone. And
yeah,
I don't think anyone is completely bad or completely good or completely evil or completely good, but they you know can fall into those patterns, and then that's all they're seen as, and that's going to get in straight into the notes. I'll bring it up right now since we're there. But I think Trevor might have something to say, and I feel like I interrupted him or
No.
Katie. I don't want it. But real quick, while we're here on this note, the doctor who is helping the girls, and later on we find out, is kind of just giving them like a placebo. But anyways, which that could be decoded. But
This was one of my issues with the movie, actually. One of my
okay,
flaws, I think. I don't want to cut you off though. So
all right. Well, the doctor, um, talking about we classify a person as good or bad, right? And this is a huge thing in like spirituality, wisdom, philosophy. We'll often only see the devil outside of ourselves and not within ourselves. And so we'll point out like, oh, that's a bad person, but we're completely, oblivious to the fact that we're either doing the same thing or we're doing the same thing in a different way, or we're doing other things that are just as detrimental to ourselves or society, or both. And so one of the things this wise doctor says, he goes, focusing on one part makes you ignore another part. He says that's one of the he says that's like what the girl is doing wrong, right? Like, so this is her demon. And, and I think it's the main character. It might not be. He says another thing that we've already talked about to another girl, which is you're too eager. He says eagerness is your problem. And we were talking about how eagerness and that desire, right, to take over you, that when that desire takes over you and you don't harness it at all, that's when the demon's controlling you. And but going back to the other girl, because think that's even harder to understand. Focusing on one part makes you ignore another part, right? If we're all focused on, the this this one thing is wrong, right? We might completely ignore how, we're messing up here or somewhere else as well, or how we're our own, way is also wrong. And then
he says in the movie,
yeah,
in order to understand a part, we must understand the whole first.
yes. To treat that part, you must understand the whole, right? Yeah, exactly. And that,
Also, I think this movie is a lot, just a little comment on this scene because we're here. I think there's a very subtle visual cue in the direction of this scene that I think it kind of makes me think this movie is a lot even smarter than that we initially perceive it as, and it's brilliant, I think. But in this scene, they place Rumi, the main character, the one with the secret, sitting by herself, and then they put the other two girls sitting together on the other side of the room.
yeah,
I thought that was a very clever
yeah,
visual way to set the scene to show that she's isolated from them
right,
because she's keeping this secret.
right. Yeah, that I get into the where is it?
I didn't mean to steal your thunder if you wrote that
No,
down.
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I didn't notice that.
But the doctor also says, he says that line of dialogue two times. In order to understand the part, we must first understand the whole.
Right,
The first time he says it, he references Rumi, but
right,
then the second time he says it, he references the trio of girls. So
Mhm.
he's saying like we have to understand a part of Rumi to understand her whole self, but to understand
us,
they also have to
others,
understand. Sorry,
themselves to understand others.
yeah, like he also is trying to say in order to understand the part Rumi, we have to understand the whole, meaning all three of them. So I
Right.
thought that was again a very clever visual cue for that scene.
And
Dude,
then going freedom from being a demon. I don't remember how this is probably in a song, but like they say that freedom from being a demon would mean no more hiding, no more secrets, right? So,
Trevor wants to say something.
yeah,
no,
my
you're
bad.
good. I just didn't know if you had anything else to say about the doctor.
I could the one of my flaws with the movie, it centers around this doctor character because he imparts such wisdom in this whole scene.
Mhm.
Zoe basically says that, like that, wow, you're so wise just
Mhm.
from one look. But then at the end, the tonics he sells them are fake.
Well,
So
but there that's that. So I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I saw the newest,
Okay.
the new remake with only the first one though.
Okay. Well, a lot of what doctors do is completely placebo, and
Right.
it's what a witch doctor does
Mhm.
is it's playing with he's using your mind, and not saying the witch doctor is bad or good or bad, but uh they're they're treating your mind, to treat
Right.
your physical
Maybe I just didn't get it then that
illness.
for
Yeah,
that
no,
because
no, you have to because you know how smart this movie is. There's
yes,
no way that they're making this
right.
wise doctor.
Because to me, I just thought that was like a disconnect,
No,
like,
no,
or like they
has
just,
to be something.
by making the tonics fake,
Mhm.
I felt like, doesn't that kind of undermine everything he just said? Like that he imparted this wisdom,
Yeah.
but then having the tonics be fake, does that mean everything he said, like,
No,
isn't true or is a
no.
lie? Like,
Right.
Remember, okay, so in it, he goes, well, first of all, let me give you the backstory. The mother is telling their son, the mother is like a hypochondriac for her son, basically
okay.
telling him he has all of these illnesses,
Mm,
and forces him to get an inhaler.
uh-huh.
And then the doctor eventually tells him it's just water. It's always been just
Mm,
water, and
hmm.
you don't have asthma. And
Interesting.
but that like I guess he was working with the situation he saw, and he didn't want to. Oh,
Was,
there's an even well, he was working with the situation he saw. He knew the mother was going to force him to have something anyways, but he didn't want to give the kid something that he didn't need, right? And
right.
then also, um, there's a I can't remember where this is from, but like it's a placebo to a character, and I think it might even be Superman, but and I don't know where I'm pulling this from. Might have even been like someone talking about it, maybe not even in the film, but it's like we didn't. You really think we're going to give Superman, a something that's going to suppress him? Like, no, we would never, yeah, like risk that. I can't even remember what it is, but
No, I get what you're putting down. Placebos are a endlessly fascinating
Mhm,
psychological phenomenon, in my opinion.
mhm,
There have been so many studies done with them. Many studies automatically include a placebo just as a baseline.
mhm.
Uh, but there have been studies that also show that like placebos can actually have the effect that they're marketed to simply because the person believes it does.
Yeah,
It's all
mind
psychological.
over matter.
Yeah. There's a scene in Harry Potter with a placebo.
Yeah, liquid
In
luck.
Goblet of Fire. Yep.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
That that
I just
stuff's
watched that yesterday. What? I don't remember
Nice.
that.
The scene
The
where
it's I don't know if it's in Goblet of Fire. It's not. It's
is
in
it?
six.
Oh, I can't remember which one it is. Oh yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
don't
Sorry,
spoil
my
it because
bad.
I'm in the
Sorry, I
process of
misspoke.
watching them all.
I misspoke.
Uh,
It was in a different movie, but there's a scene where Harry acquires liquid luck
Yeah.
and it looks like he sneaks it into Ron's drink before a Quidditch match.
Mhm.
Because Ron's all nervous about his match because they have to win or whatever. Uh, and Harry sneaks it in, and Ron notices, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm about to take liquid luck." So he automatically like does fantastic in the game, and they win. But then it turns out Harry never actually put it in the drink.
Right.
Um,
And real quick,
yeah, I think you're right. It was Half Blood Prince. My mistake.
going back to the doctor,
Yeah.
grape juice is what he's actually giving them,
Hmm.
and it's showing you that. Well, it's one thing it's showing you is that it's not like he was giving them a harmful placebo. He was like grape juice is known for being like I think times two of like the next highest fruit juice that's good for you.
Mm.
It's so him
Interesting.
giving that is kind of like a show of like he's like a naturopathic holistic
Right.
doctor. You know, he's looking to, like we said before, treat the whole person. You know, he's giving, wisdom, and he knows that it's not like a lot of their problems will be solved not through drugs, but through um, like facing your demons and facing
Hmm.
the deep introspection, uh and he can only really uh set you on the right he can't do it for you, but he can give you the little nuggets of information that will lead you to do that yourself,
Yeah.
you know.
That reminds me of there's a lyric in the song "Free" from this movie where where she says they both say we can't fix it if we never face it.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's a really important message for everyone because in our modern day life, a lot of people fall into the falsehood that our problems, if we just ignore it, it'll go away,
yeah,
but that's really not the case at all. So you have to face it head on. So
yes,
that's another message uh,
Yeah.
related to this
And
in that song.
yeah,
another thing on that note is like that Mike and I have talked about is like um you fix it inside of you as well. Like it's not something outside of you that you're going to find or
Hmm.
like on you, like part of your body or like um yeah, it's not something outside of you. It's inside of you
Right.
usually.
A lot of our problems
Sometimes
are internal.
yeah. I mean sometimes there is like if it's dangerous, that's something, yeah, you need to get away from, but that's a
Oh yeah.
different story. That's like, that's not really what this is talking about. But yeah, that's funny. I was going to ask before you got into your notes, I was going to say, do you have anything about the doctor? And I should have known, yeah, of course you have something about the doctor. But
yeah, you know
that was the
you
one symbolism, well, not the one, there's a lot, but the
Hmm.
one that I was curious if you were gonna mention, which like I said, I should have known. But like
I
the
knew you would have stuff to say about the doctor too.
That's
yeah,
so funny. That's where I started writing. That was the first stuff I wrote down. I was like, yep,
yeah,
this is where, I mean, this is the easiest to interpret. You know,
yeah,
they were
Yes.
talking about hope, which I love. You know, hope is the only thing that you're always gonna, the only thing no one could take away from you. I'm not exactly sure how they explored in this movie,
Hmm.
but that hope, that optimism is also medicine, you know?
Yes.
So, anyways, yeah.
there's one other, you guys basically covered it all. I mean, I'm sure there's even more, but something I picked up on, what I was gonna say about the doctor, that, and yeah, like I said, I knew you would have a more deeper understanding, and that's kind of what I was picking up on. Like, but it was clear, like, yeah, he's wise. He's clearly he knows about these people, or he can see something about them, like internally, just by looking at them, but
Yeah.
like, or looking at them with his eyes. But he like, there was one other thing that I think is kind of funny.
Why did you say
Um,
that? Why did you go like eyes?
I don't know, 'cause he
Okay.
like was looking into
He
their
did do
soul
that, yeah.
essentially.
I don't know. Did they also depict him as being like a slow, kind of like
Yeah.
not lazy, but like kind of like not like so serious,
A
right?
little bit,
There,
yeah.
that's
He kind of canters in when he first shows up.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
This is something that I talked about with Trevor on the phone today. I was one time, and we've talked about it in the past. He knows about this situation I was in,
Hmm.
and it was like a honorific or like a phrase in Japan that was brought up to me. So I was in this bookstore where I give tarot readings, and I was telling her my plan, 10 years down the line, and she goes, or not even, I wasn't even telling her my plan. I was like, I eventually hope to get to where I'm actually doing what we're doing today,
Yeah.
is talking on YouTube and sharing my wisdom. But at that time, I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Hmm.
And she goes, you're like a Japanese person, slow to start and slow to end.
Hmm.
So this is the tortoise wins the race, and it's you know, what she's saying is you begin something slowly planned out, right? And then it lasts a lot longer, right?
Hmm.
Instead of like rushing into things, the eagerness, and then
Slow
you
and
burn
methodical.
out.
Slow and
Yeah.
methodical as opposed to hard and fast.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
the
Yeah.
faster it burns, the faster it goes out.
Right. And
Yes.
I think in the tortoise versus the hare, I think the hare also gets so full of himself that he like goes to sleep
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
ends up losing because he, is so
He got
arrogant.
overconfident.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where I think that was in response to the way I understand it, or like um what I was mentioning, someone I work with was talking about, who's like in the marketing, or comes from a marketing background, that he was talking about a bit, and he still does marketing. So he was talking about a business that is new and they have a really good product, but he was talking about, they need to be able to fulfill the order. If they start to grow online, they'll need to be able to fulfill these orders. And he was talking about how you never want in business, but I also understand it better. He's like a more business minded person. I'm a more creative minded person, and I understand it. I understood perfectly what he was saying in terms of like creative stuff, but it's also a good analogy for the business side of things. It's like you never want to like blow up and then not be able to fill those orders, because then all those people that buy your stuff are gonna be like, they're gonna go online and they're gonna say, "Oh, this sucked. It came super slow and it was broken when it got here," and then you're gonna crash.
Yeah.
You want to
Th-
have. He was saying you want to have this like slow
Isn't
and steady growth.
isn't the phrase in like the business world like slow, sustainable growth?
Yes.
I think.
That's why people buy into the housing market because it's
Mm.
very stable and even though it's slow growth over time, it is always headed up, you know?
Hmm. This kind of relates to something else about the movie. Again, behind this is more behind the scenes stuff that I've been over consuming. The singing voice of the main character, Rumi, she is, I think, in her mid to late 30s. She's been in the K-pop industry a long time. She tried to be like a typical idol singer,
Mhm.
but was unsuccessful. She was rejected at first. So she kind of settled. She had to settle for being a songwriter, being behind the scenes.
Mm.
And then she almost turned down this role of being the singing voice of Rumi.
Yeah.
So now is the time when she is finally like seeing the
Right.
success.
Yeah,
So
that's
of all
crazy.
her years of hard work.
And this might even be the most fulfilling like way she could have seen her success, in a way that is the most creative as possible, right? Instead of doing a tour every day. Maybe that's what she'll end up doing, a lot of tours for this movie. But
Also, not only is she the main singer, she also wrote a lot of the songs
yeah.
or co-wrote them. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it relates to one of my favorite movies of all time, Inherent Vice. There is multiple actresses and actors. I know definitely an actress in the movie, but Paul Thomas Anderson said that he'd cast multiple many of the actors in the film that were actors like for their whole life without
Mhm.
ever getting a big break.
Gotcha.
But they were like literally like that's their job was like maybe commercials or I don't even know exactly how it was or like small parts here and there, but
Yeah.
always like nothing that would ever hold them over a long time. But he said he chose those actors, um, and he chose those actors who had been working a long time and who were lesser known. And I can't remember if he says exactly why, but I thought it was beautiful, and that movie has those themes of like um, the the journey being more important than the destination, the
Hmm.
process being more important than the destination,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all that hard work paying off in that movie,
Yeah.
Inherent Vice. It happens.
No, that sounds like it was
Hmm.
definitely a very intentional choice
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
on the director's part.
yeah.
I haven't seen that movie. I'm gonna have to give it a watch.
It's
You've mentioned it
amazing.
to me before, so I'm
Yes,
definitely gonna watch it.
and it's a great book. It's my favorite book, and my favorite movie,
Mm.
and Harry Potter's my favorite book series. That's how I like separate it. And
Gotcha.
then when it comes to movies, it's almost as well like, and Harry Potter would also be with my, I'm crazy about that. It's my favorite movie, equal to other all of my other favorites. You guys have
Yes.
heard this many
I know
times, I'm
exactly what
sure.
you mean.
So,
Yep.
you know, but seriously, if I had to choose, and I was like, yeah, it would probably be Inherent Vice and
Mm,
Inherent Vice for both of
gotcha.
those mediums. Yeah.
Yeah, I think K-pop Demon Hunters definitely makes my list of all-time favorites
Hmm.
for movies. Um, I have, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I'm very particular, and it's not easy for a movie to make it up there for me.
But yeah, yeah, no, that's good. Um, yeah, I like that you have like that particular taste,
Yeah.
and this movie really, I think really, I think it took 5 years or something like that. I was hearing one of the people
Oh,
talk about it,
Whoa.
and
yeah.
like, yeah, that shows, it wasn't just churned out
Yep.
Yeah.
like something that no one cared
It
about.
was definitely a passion project for
There you
sure.
go, exactly, passion.
One last thing about the doctor that I think
Hmm.
would be a good thing for the people.
Hmm.
Uh, the thing that I picked up on the doctor that um he also though is not perfect in that I just thought it was funny when the, I don't know what that's about, but
We're not
All right.
live streaming, are we?
No, I get.
It's
the
Oh,
cool if we are.
yeah, that is.
I think it I don't know.
It
It
picked up
gave the
on.
thumbs up
Cool.
though. That's good. But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
what's
That
it
was
called?
fun.
yeah.
Um
I hope we get another.
You were
yeah, I
saying how the
know.
doctor's not perfect.
He's not perfect. It was funny when the picture she says, "Is that us?" And then it like his sticker of him like falls
Yeah.
down, and
Mm,
it reminds me of just like the spiritual, like I like the witch doctor analogy. He definitely was a witch
mm,
doctor. um he taught them that it was inside themselves. He gave them the grape juice, which is not bad for them,
mm,
but that is kind of common in the spiritual world. Is like it's kind of like in Eddington, except he's the doctor in this movie is like a definitely he's on the good side. The other guy, he was not so on the good side, but there is this like influencer element of like he wanted everyone to perceive, and maybe that's important, but he also had some things he was hiding, but
Yeah.
maybe
that
that's
was an interesting.
important to um or
That's
maybe
a really good point.
they were mocking sort of like the business world where it's like he kind of needed those faces to be in his office to get people in the door to give them the truth.
No, and I think that's a really good point. And with how it ended up being grape juice, the tonics that he was selling, the tonics, sometimes with, again, this is related to the placebo point we were talking about. In the end, a lot of how it winds up with human psychology is it's all about the marketing. And
Mm,
you know it might not have been so well received if he said, dude, you just got to drink some juice and you'll be fine.
Right?
And
Yeah.
your voice will be
yeah.
fine. It has to be presented as like, this is medicine
Yes.
that I'm prescribing to you, you know what I mean?
Hmm. And
So
also, but it's in your head.
yeah,
It's like a
right, that too.
yeah, and that's the going back to we're going to talk about Jinyu more. I think it
Hmm.
was his name, but he uh he was so ashamed, and he I can't remember when we talked about this, but like he um he was he didn't share that he so yeah, he didn't share that he did those wrong things to his sister and mother, right? With the main character Rumi, he didn't share that with her.
Hmm.
But I think maybe we said, or someone said, I don't know, that he was um, hiding from it as well, like his knowledge of it. But I think I think somewhere in the movie he said he's always aware of it, and or like,
Yes.
yeah, like he always, like, I think the voice of that fire demon king
Yep.
is like his guilt and or
Yes.
partially in that case with him,
Yes.
the demon is really within him, and it's like, yeah, that
I like how he says, when they like in one of their first conversations between the main character and the male lead, Gino, she says something like, "You're a demon, you can't feel," and he goes, "Is that what you think? That's all demons do is feel."
and that I
And
wrote a lot about that.
okay, so we'll get into that more.
Let's talk about it now then,
Okay.
because we're on the subject.
Well, because I was just gonna say that that can really that kind of illustrates that a lot of a lot of our like demons are rooted in our feelings or emotions,
Right.
or maybe the opposite, that our feelings and emotions are what lead to our demons one way or the other.
Yeah, it's both, or it's both,
Yeah.
and sometimes one or the other. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Or that your demons are rooted in your feelings and emotions, maybe.
Yeah. The fears.
I'm probably just saying five different ways to say the same thing, but
No, it's okay. It's better to have it all out there. The fears and desires, rule us, and those are our emotions, our feelings. That's usually how I remember it. And Stanley Kubrick has a movie called Fear and Desire. So whenever I'm trying to think of that subconscious, that emotions, and the things, that the unconscious things that you know really rule us without
Trevor's losing the pink. I'm so sad.
us always knowing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, the
This
beanie's
is still
back.
relevant.
relevant.
That's
Why is it
hilarious.
relevant?
I don't know, cougar, tiger,
Yeah, the blue tiger. That's
girl
what I was.
power. I don't know.
Yeah, girl power. Okay, girl power. Yep. Okay, cool. So, um, yeah, demons don't feel anything for others because they feel so much shame for themselves. I wrote that down. It was like a stream of conscious, but like, um, this is like the phrase, "You can't love others if you don't love yourself," or if you love, or the opposite, if you love yourself, it doesn't matter who loves you. So yeah, these people feel so much shame. They don't love themselves, and so they don't have enough. I feel like they don't have enough love in them to go and share that love with other people. I always feel very gifted, like when, because I've always had a lot of empathy, but I think my self-love, I was never ashamed. I mean, like when I was a child, growing up, like I wasn't really ashamed of myself. I didn't like, I wasn't very confident, but like, I had some insecurities for sure, but I wasn't like, I didn't think that I was like, inadequate in other ways, where I feel like a lot of um, you know people who are ashamed of themselves, it's not even always because of what the wrong things they did, but they like straight up, since they were younger, just always felt inadequate in maybe more ways other than appearance, like it was only for
Oh
me.
yeah.
And so that is like a really sad thing, that since it's
I
yeah.
think I think that's one of the things about this movie that has broad appeal, is that everyone experiences shame to
Mm,
some degree.
mm,
Like that's a very, universal experience is
mhm,
shame. Whether it's, about one thing or another, it doesn't really matter,
mhm.
because everyone experiences shame about something.
Right.
Um, I was going to say something else, but it left me for now. I'm sure it'll come
Okay.
back later. But continue.
I think that's mostly what I said there. I think we could go on to some more notes, right? Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So
We were kind of seemed like we were kind of progressing from like the beginning of the movie, like over the course of the movie, because the
that's
doctor is kind of at the beginning, is the what we spent a large amount of time on.
yes. And now we might backtrack a little bit, but
Yeah, sure.
so other notes. I like the smoothness and coolness of the movie. I already brought that up. Like especially like with the boy characters. Like I know that they're literal demons and like douchey, but that's kind of like I thought like their suaveness was interesting, especially since that's not always been like I'm not a big ladies man. I tend to
You're not cougar bait.
Yeah, I tend to overcomplicate things and overexplain things, and sometimes that's not, the most attractive thing. But going back to, go ahead.
I was just gonna say about the male characters, the boy band, the Saja boys in this movie. Each one of them is a very careful construction. Going back into some backstory of the movie, each one of them is a very careful construction of an archetype
Yeah.
of in the
sure.
traditional K-pop boy band setup.
Yes,
And
that's awesome.
it kind of displays an archetype of each one of the members of the band, and also kind of illustrates the toxicity of that.
Yeah.
So you have the main guy who's Genu. He's like everyone's romantic heartthrob, you know.
Can I say one overarching thing real quick?
Yes,
The
yes, yes.
smoothness and the coolness oftentimes comes from this notion that you're giving off this "I don't care" vibe, but the "I don't care" vibe is like, to me, oftentimes it's not loving enough, right? Like, I share my feelings and I explain things over the top because I want the most love for the most people, but that could be very off-putting for people.
No, I do the same thing.
Yeah,
When
but
you're a classic over-explainer,
yes,
when you overshare or
yes, yes, and but I'm guessing that that that's part of the, and it's important to not care. So I don't care about like following the convention of not caring, like I don't care in that way, but that's the off-putting thing because it is so different from how not everyone else, attracts people, but it's just not my nature. I can't do it very easily, and I don't try to do it. But there is something positive to what I think is attractive about it is that when you're showing that you don't care, it's which could be really you don't care about anything. Obviously, apathy to me is the worst. But if you don't care about what other people think of you, right, that shows you're a leader, right? And obviously that's an attractive thing, especially maybe more from the feminine side. It's an attractive thing for females from that they look for in men, right? They don't care because they're the leader, right? But anyways, is any of that in these archetypes? Maybe even the leader
it's kind of the
archetype?
opposite of that actually.
Okay.
With but yeah, so yes, like the archetypes that each of the five members is trying to fit into is kind of they're being forced to be like the opposite of authentic. At least this is how I saw it.
Yeah.
And when I watched the movie and coming to understand it later from what I've learned about it, each of the members, like you have the main boy,
But
the
that's what
main
I was
guy-
saying, the opposite of authentic.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
So
So that's them not
they're not being authentic.
right.
And I think the dynamic between the two idol groups in this movie is so fascinating too, and it can also be a larger commentary on like the music industry or the idol industry or the, you know, that kind of industry in itself. Because Huntrix is all about bringing people together.
Yes.
The girl group is about bringing their fans together and
Right.
being their authentic selves. Maybe for Rumi, not right away, not at first, but eventually. And then the Saja boys, the boy group, the demons, they're more about like controlling everyone and keeping them isolated. They're saying they need art, like give me your desire. That's one of the lyrics in the song at the end. And that's more, we can talk about that a little bit more later. But
Worship, idolatry.
they're kind of like they're opposites of each other. And
Nice.
I did see one comment when I was researching this movie. One of the comments I saw under the YouTube video is somebody said something like, I wish the movie would have touched more on like the toxic side of being a fan of these idol groups. And I'm like, I think it did. Like they did. The movie did do that
did.
in the scene where everyone is like when Huntrix like when they're at their lowest, the band is broken up. Rumi
Right.
has finally let it be known her secret, and everyone turns on them and becomes fans of the boy band.
Right.
And they're all like marching very cult like to their yes, they're marching
Good.
to their show. And everyone, they're not like being fans, being all, like they were at the beginning with the Huntrix group, they're all just straight ahead, like focusing on the boy band itself. And
Right.
So it's kind of the opposite of Hendrix, and I thought that was very powerful,
it's
very
super
powerful
subtle,
messaging.
or
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
super
it kind of
subtle.
is.
It's yes,
You might
but
not pick up on it.
for that commenter, it was probably too subtle, which
Yes.
is kind of what I was talking about earlier. But at the same time, that 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 kind of leaves a door open for more conversation, like we're having right now. And it also
Yes.
is like a, like this movie's like if it's a bit mysterious and people like that, that's attractive, kind of what we were talking about earlier. But also like if you show how deep this movie is to someone, like, they'll appreciate it on another level as well. And I think that that deepness, yeah, is really really in this movie.
I
And
didn't mean to
a lot
jump.
of it is too subtle for a lot.
Yeah.
It went over my head the first time.
I didn't mean to jump so far ahead into
No, I
towards the
love
end of the
that.
movie,
Yeah.
but the the boy band song at the end is, I think, my favorite part of the whole movie. I always, again, I'm a huge Disney connoisseur. I love me a good villain
Villain song.
song.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure
that's
we've talked
true.
about this in our
Yes.
childhood.
It's a great villain song.
It's so good. Every single lyric in that song is so well placed,
Yeah.
apropos, everything.
Yeah,
It's just brilliant.
yeah. No, I thought the same thing.
I could
Well,
talk so much about
I
it.
didn't think about like how I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, villain songs are always the best
Hmm.
because I was kind of like because no, that song was like, yeah, word for word was crazy. Like every lyric was super deep.
Yes.
Um but also I like I think maybe s- a different take from you guys just on, I mean, I don't know necessarily, but with
Hmm.
Mike and I talk about this sometimes, or actually a lot of the time. But like I do believe that in the same way that, okay, so everything comes from within, in a sense, like everything you need to fix comes from within. But I do believe that, like, there is a god, a higher power outside of us. But I also believe there is an evil force outside of us, and that's a little bit deep, but that's, or like a deeper topic,
Hmm.
but like that is something I think the movie kind of, they touch on it, yeah, with the, I forget what the fire is called, but you were talking
Yeah.
about
I
how the
think it's
fire,
I think it's called Glima or Gima.
Hmm.
I'm not
yeah,
exactly sure how to pronounce it. But
Yeah.
and
I,
in the research I've done on the movie, that isn't necessarily based on anything
Mm.
in Korean culture or lore.
Cool.
right.
It's a original creation, but
But
Hmm.
it's a good representation because I mean, it's not perfect, but it is a good representation of how my perspective on things, that he's taking, that's kind of how I see it, is this evil entity, or at least force, but I believe it's an entity, seeks to corrupt what's good. And in the movie, he they don't really touch on corruption explicitly, but the idea that he is taking your soul and it's fueling this fire. So like
Mm.
there um and the idea, what's the demon boy's name?
Jinyu.
Genu.
Genu. He has to we've talked about this a few times now on the podcast with the Yay movie and him. You have to, the way I see, or the way I've heard it described, the devil or whatever,
Hmm.
to God, or um to be good, you just have to, like we were saying, you do good things, and not to be like a good person, but like you're adding the love into the world, the love that's already there. With evil, it's sort of like the opposite. You have to give something in order to get something. That's the idea of like sacrifice. Like
Mm,
he essentially, they don't say this explicitly, but they kind of do. Like they show it. He kind of gave up his family. He like
yeah.
sacrificed his family for his voice. Or because he references that at the beginning. I gave you your voice, but they
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't.
his ability to express his talent that he already had.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you're basically right. The Demon King says, "I let you keep your voice."
Oh, keep okay, so
Yeah.
even
Oh,
more.
you're right. So that was kind of and so I settled that what made me I planned on saying that about the demons and stuff
Mhm,
and like the evil force. But what made me think of that was that last song. I like that's how paranoid I am, is that like I enjoyed that song, but I didn't want to listen to it on my way home. But I listened to the golden one because I'm like, this one will empower me for the podcast.
yeah.
But I did
That's
like
great.
that
Mm,
the bad guy song that was like perfect, and the lyrics I don't remember them
mhm,
off the top of my head yet, but like yeah, that just describes how it is, how I see those things is
mhm,
like I think he says something like yeah, it's just all about idol worship and
Yes. The
yeah.
like
song is
every
literally called Your Idol,
Yeah.
right.
and they're about keeping the audience's attention on them, like purely consuming it
Mhm,
selfishly, not promoting, spreading, connecting people like Huntrix does.
And
mm,
with what you guys were just saying, this was subtle, a subtle message, but that I took home or whatever, that hit
mhm,
home or whatever, is like the idea that art and being famous, because when I was a kid, I like wanted to be like a, you know, not necessarily a pop star, but like do something like that to, you know, bring people together, and
yeah.
like that's what I wanted to do. And then I get older and I see like what the life of a famous pop star is like, and I'm like,
Mhm,
oh, I don't want to do that. And it
Yeah.
also seems superficial, and
right.
like the fans, that was an interesting thing they focus on, is like they're clearly motivated by the fans. And there was like,
Yes.
the reason of the force fell. I don't. I could, even though even throughout the movie I couldn't understand what they were calling it, like Hojin or something.
Mhm.
Oh, the shield thing.
Yeah.
I think it's
Harmon.
Han Moon.
Okay.
Also, something else that in the reviews and reactions I've seen, that's also something else that doesn't originate from Korean like mythology or lore or culture.
Mhm,
Although the word Han Moon itself does mean something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but that whole idea of a shield protecting like the human realm from the demons is not anything
Mm.
particularly stemming from Korean
Yeah, I
culture.
mean, I've
But they
never
called it
really
the Han Moon.
right, the Han Moon. I've never even really heard of anything like that. Maybe Mike
I
has
get
like a
yeah. Well, I kept hearing harmone, and harmony is to harmonize,
I mean,
right.
and
that's interesting that you heard it as that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's even if it's not what was actually being said,
Hmm.
and so, but going with what you were saying, Trevor, I think it's if we talk. So first of all, I don't claim to know, right? If there is a literal, physical devil, right? Or I know it would be a spiritual thing. I think that's as long as we keep in mind that, like you say, it is metaphorical and it is spiritual, and it as long as we keep in mind they're all and it is inside us, that's all fine. I love that. And the the I think the metaphorical, which is also could be a literal way that this thing would be fed, is that if we sell our soul, um, uh, which is basically the soul. Like if you say someone is soulless, right? You're saying they don't have any empathy, right? The soul is what connects all of us. That's our empathy for others, right? And so when we sell that connection to others, right, and give it away, right, like he did, he's no longer connected to his family,
That's
you
the
know.
whole scene of that Your Idol song in the movie, is that Huntrix is about uniting everyone's souls. Meanwhile, the Saja boys are like, give me your soul.
Exactly. And this is kind of goes with what Trevor is like. It's taking your soul. It's an aggregore of everyone's selling out their soul to the materialists, the uh superficial, the only physical, the separated version of us, right? Like our body separates us, the material world separates us, but the spirit that's inside us that brought us all here, right, is actually what connects us, right? And you can't
Yes.
see it, and that's why sometimes people overlook it because
Yes.
material is way easier to be tempted by because it is literally visible.
Yeah.
So sometimes we only value that. But yeah, all good things. I'm moving my score up to a 10. Just saying because
I
this
think my
movie,
score is pretty much 10 too.
yeah, this movie is, if we're talking about it for this long, easily deserves it. So,
I could say so much more on it. And I think I only had two problems with the movie.
mhm,
One of them we already talked about, which was the thing with the doctor, and maybe that was just my own misunderstanding or not fully appreciating the entire picture of that scene. Um, but my other problem with it was, I guess, maybe just a pacing issue. From what I understand, what I've seen, with this movie is it was initially supposed to be a lot longer,
mhm,
but they cut it down as typical with Hollywood.
mhm.
They probably wanted it to be just a quick hour and a half jammer for a streaming service. Is that so? My last problem with the movie was that at the end, when Rumi, the main character, comes into she interrupts their big evil song at the end, and then she starts singing, and then the other two girls just join in, and they kind of, like, previously to that, they felt betrayed because she had been lying to them this whole time.
Mhm.
And then she comes in singing, and they just kind of immediately forgive her, or like they immediately just start singing along, and bam, they're back together again.
Sorry,
Like,
say that one more time. What happened?
so
I
my
guess.
my issue, I guess, my only other issue was at the end.
Mhm,
um it's when it's finally revealed that Rumi has the demon patterns,
yeah.
and she's part demon, and their friendship is breaking up because the other two girls are saying, you've been keeping this from us, you've been
Yeah.
lying to us this whole time. And they kind of break up, and then the other two girls get sucked into the Saja boys and
Hmm.
fall prey to their demons. And then Rumi comes in and starts singing
Mhm.
to save everyone, and then the other two girls join in immediately. There's no transition scene of like them kind of coming to terms with forgiving her,
Hmm.
or choosing to or accept her for what she is. It it's just a narrative pacing issue, I
Yeah.
guess. It's a little, only a little thing.
I
I
think
think
I
they, or what were
mhm.
we gonna say?
No, that was basically it. You wanted to say something?
No, Trevor, go ahead.
I think this might not be because you've seen it multiple times, so um, you would probably know better than I do. But I think that the way I perceive that is like they're in the demon portal, the Hong or whatever.
Mhm.
It like it was splitting open at that point, and so I think
Yes.
everyone was sort of entering this like demonic state or like
Mm-hmm.
influence. And then when she started singing, although I agree with you, and that was kind of my complaint at the review, I didn't think that it definitely didn't drag on. I can tell that it actually the opposite. Like I think that's why it lost me. It didn't lose me ever, but like at a certain point I was like I said, I didn't really
I
care
remember
as
you
much what was
saying,
gonna happen.
not to interrupt, but I remember you
Mhm.
saying it ended very abruptly, you felt like.
Right,
And
exactly.
I see where you're coming from, definitely there, because the movie, the whole time, I feel like it's very high energy. Like,
Mhm.
it goes hard for most of it. Like, I feel like there's very few lulls or breaks, in terms of action or story or anything. So
Yeah,
I totally understand what you're saying, how you felt
yeah.
like it ended very suddenly.
That like I thought there was, and maybe that's what you're saying. What what you're saying could have helped that scene where they do have some sort of forgiveness and like acknowledgement. But
Hmm.
I think, at least from um my take on it, was that her voice kind of snapped them out of this like
Right.
Mm,
state. I mean, that is what happened in that scene, but also they don't really explain when they like are mad at her and they recognize that she's like, I don't think they were necessarily getting at like, oh, they're in this demonic state. I don't think they were, but maybe that is like a little bit of like everyone was sort of slowly being pulled towards the dark side, and like when she gets mad and the pink kind of takes over
right.
the force field, maybe that's like they're not as conscious. But yeah, there definitely could have been a scene or two in between her being exposed as a demon and like the final battle, I guess, where
Yeah.
that could have kept that pacing going.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think ultimately they probably just decided to sacrifice that, probably because uh, maybe it's something we can appreciate the makers for, because I think they weren't babying the audience, and I think everyone can recognize in a fan all general audiences I think can recognize in a family movie like this that there's not going to really be any ending in which the girls don't forgive each other and get back together, you know? So I think they probably recognize that this is just the classic, conflict part of the storyline between the main heroes of the main characters of the story. Um, and then we always resolve and get to the good ending. So it's a classic, storytelling kind of trope or transition kind of thing. But so maybe it was just sacrificing a bit of time just for the sake of condensing that.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
I I think it could also be like a like I don't even remember the scene fully, but I think like my idea is like it was with Trevor is like um when she started singing, it's probably going to be I don't know if they're the first ones who snap out of it. They probably are,
Yeah, they
right?
were.
So
Yep.
it's going to be the people who are I guess um more
More readily connect with her voice.
I was going to say closer with her in some
Yes.
way that are going
Yeah.
to be more affected by her words, which I think, thank you for bringing up the voice again. They say our voice is going to be the thing that unites us or that, saves
Hmm.
us away from the demons. And that is the communication,
Yes.
with others. That's the first connection, I
Hmm.
think the more physical connection is sometimes where it's really, um, when it's all about just the physical connection, that's obviously not a good sign as well. So yeah, anyways, let's go on a little bit more. Try to wrap it up soon.
Yep.
Um, so I have well, let's go on to that. Actually, I think it's good. You're just my type. Oh well, that's what the um the like brown black hair short hair girl
Yeah.
from the movie she says, and it's like you're just my type. Oh well, it's like yes, you're the person that might be your perfect type might be also the worst for you, this demon, right? And
Mm.
that's going off of that temptation, that eagerness, right? And but the oh well is like I don't really care, like I'm not going to be ruled by my desires so much that I just given to them because I like the way you look,
Yep.
I should also like the way you speak like we were saying, and I should like the way you think, and I should like the way you treat others. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah.
I love how you pointed that scene out, because I feel like most people, myself included, like I think that was just a bit of comic relief, that line. But I think you're right. There is a lot more depth to it than it might seem on the surface, because I think a a part of a good part of us, our demons, can source from things that we take part in or consume, or that are bad for us, even if we know it. Like there's always that trope of the the person who stays with their partner because of dumb reasons, even if they're bad for them, you know. But then this character, the girl from Huntrix, Zoe, she so easily says, "Oh, you're just my type. Oh well,"
Right. She
Right.
she
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 immediately
doesn't even
recognizes.
exactly. She doesn't even
Yeah.
let it start.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Hmm.
something I was gonna say earlier, you made me think of when you started talking about the demons, is the way they portrayed the boy band. It did it again. I don't know what's doing that, but the demons, they are, and in our culture, and I think spiritually, it's like the thing that looks easiest or looks the best.
Hmm.
Usually, like um yeah, there's countless examples. I don't even really need to get into them, but
Yeah.
like the thing that
Yeah.
looks like the the most beautiful thing sometimes is usually the most deceiving, or
Yep.
yeah,
Like looks are deceiving,
yeah.
and
Mm,
the easiest thing might not always be the right thing.
correct. Yep. Yep.
And
And
like
mhm.
that's the way, it's not the way it has to be, but that makes perfect sense because like you wouldn't want to do it if it looked bad or not fun. That's the word I should have said, or that I was looking for, is like fun. Like the thing that looks the most fun as well is usually not the best thing for you. And if it didn't look
Mm.
fun or beautiful, like you wouldn't want to do it.
Right. Remember, this goes back to that Samuel verse that we spoke about in the first episode of grow in the dark. You know, God doesn't see like man does, for man sees only the outside appearance, but God sees what's inside and
Mm.
judges on what is inside, right? There you go. Exactly. So if he saw Lucifer, you know, long, blonde, pretty hair, no beard, classic, the representation of Lucifer that we always see, the most beautiful, attractive angel, the most beautiful, attractive actor in the movie. God would be like, no, you got a freaking, heart of coal or whatever, like,
Right.
so we ain't going towards that, so,
He's like
but
a
The looks are
jealous,
deceiving.
yeah, it looks like,
yeah, jealous, envious liar.
yeah, that's what you would see inside, right?
Yes.
But,
Right.
so let's see, talked about the patterns being negative habits, feeling of shame we talked about, half demon, right? This goes on many levels, but I guess real quick we'll bring it up. We are half good. We have the angel and the devil
Hmm.
on our shoulder, and we're capable of both. And to think that we're not capable of both, right? And oh no, he's the only bad guy, and you're only seeing the devil outside of you, and you don't understand how you're capable of it, and oftentimes do it. The bad choice, the more divisive choice, the to divide people. That is. We have to understand we are half demon, we have half the you know darkness in us, and we're capable of evil things, and we've all no one hasn't sinned uh when it comes to humans,
Hmm.
so it's not a
Like we were saying earlier, no one's all good or all bad.
right.
And
Sorry, if
yeah,
that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
right. But I there was one other thing I wanted to touch on with this
Mhm.
movie. I hope now is okay to get into
Go
it.
ahead.
But
Mhm.
there's one other thing, one of the millions of things I love about this movie. I feel like the character, their maternal character, Celine, I think her name is.
That's the note I'm looking at. Mhm.
You're gonna get into that.
What she says about this.
Wow, we have to hide it.
Yeah, exactly. Her
Yes,
aunt's version of Harmon, or whatever it was,
the Han Moon.
Hanmun,
Hmm.
uh, or basically good, or like goodwill for all, right? Her aunt's version of Harmon, or good and Hanmu, Han,
Han Moon.
Hanmoon, is just to hide the demon side, right?
Right.
And that is, we see that in our parents, in our in it, basically anyone who hasn't, or is still trying to avoid. We all, and we still do this, we just do it on, for different levels, and hopefully we do it less and less. But you just, out of sight, out of mind,
Right. She
it,
says we have to hide it and not
right,
let anyone see. Hide your flaws and fears.
right.
That's what she preaches to them the whole time. I feel like narratively, they could have made her an easy villain. Like that would have been like that would have been such an easy choice for them to do. I love that they didn't do that
Hmm.
because she's supposed to be kind of like their maternal figure. So her giving them bad advice really, but not being the ultimate like villain or the big bad guy in the story. That kind of illustrates I guess a representation of reality with our parents. And I feel like we talked about this with in Frankenstein a little bit, how our parents aren't perfect and they can make mistakes and give us bad advice. They make their own bad choices.
Right.
But it also shows that like she wasn't necessarily giving that bad advice to her adoptive child out of malice.
She just doesn't know any better.
Right,
She had
exactly.
you had no other way of, in
Her
her mind, treating
intentions
it.
her intentions were still to help
Yeah, of course.
Rumi overall. And she says like at the end, why couldn't you love me? And she says, I do. But then she says all of me. Like, why couldn't you love all of me?
Right.
And that goes back to how she's saying we have to hide our fears
Right.
and flaws. The devil and angel on our shoulder, like our each shoulder, we have to recognize that we all have both. You can't choose one, ignore the other.
Right.
Going back to what the doctor said,
Right.
we always have to recognize we all have both. And that's what she was that's what she was saying. Like she was trying to ignore the devil side of her
Yes.
the whole time.
Yep. And we see how that didn't really address the problem.
Right. And suppressing that
Ticking time bomb.
is always a bad choice. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It just makes the problem worse always.
It starts lashing out uncontrollably because you have no idea that you have that side to you.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I think this is about it, but a couple other things I wrote down is we can't fix it if we don't face it. I think we've already spoken about that, but that's what we're just talking about now.
Yeah.
And then I said I love the main demon's design, and I'm talking about the
too.
fire thing.
Yes. Yeah.
The Demon King.
That's
I thought
one-
that was striking.
I
This is
agree.
gonna be timeless. I'm gonna see that in YouTube videos for the rest of the time, and I'll always be like,
That's
yeah, this movie has style.
That's one critique of the movie I've seen is that people say, "Oh, the villain's design is kind of boring. It's just a giant flaming mouth."
Oh, I loved it.
But
It's perfect.
I thought it was so brilliantly simple.
Exactly.
And I loved it as well. I thought it was so unique and
Fire is that
original.
destruct it as much of it as much as it is, like through the fire and through the flames, you gotta sometimes you just gotta walk into the fire, and the only way out is through. And to face that fire in you, that passion, that the desire and that destructive nature, if we don't tame it, if we don't control the fire,
Right.
that's it getting out of control, the fire growing, and the passion just ruling us, and that's being led by our emotions and not being in control of them.
Yes. And also the imagery of him just being a mouth for most of the movie. I feel like that's
No eyes, right?
yeah, I think he gets eyes towards the
Till
end,
to the
at the
but
very
for
end.
most of the
But
movie,
for the
he's
most
just
of the movie, he's just a mouth. And
that-
I think
that
that's
mouth-
brilliant.
eating consumer.
Yes. But also, I think some of our biggest shames or some of our biggest darkness stems from our mouth, like the things we say or the things we don't say, So I feel like that's a very powerful metaphorical or allegorical imagery.
Yeah, and it's not seen. It's more of
Yes.
it's like I don't know if there's a symbol of the bell, you know, and we hear the every time bell ring or every time bell rings, angel gets its
Oh
wings.
yeah, yeah.
But the bell is used as a symbol in the tarot, at least
Mm.
if I'm like getting this right, of like that subtle, you know, like nature of you see God. You obviously it's hearing, but you know, here I guess maybe it's related to hearing because you know you could hear it and you still not know exactly what it is, but if you see it you know what it is. That's still untrue, but like the I feel like the bell and the hearing is a more subtle, you know, knowing of
Was there a
a
bell
sense.
imagery in this movie? I can't
No,
remember.
but this you're talking about the mouth
Yeah, yeah.
and
Oh, so you're just talking about like sound in general?
yes, exactly.
Okay, okay.
Sound, right? Like, and remember, he you hear it inside
Yes,
you,
I was
you
just
know,
thinking that. He
and
says
shame.
he hears his voice in his ear.
Right,
That's all it takes
right.
is
Yeah,
someone's
it's that
voice,
that's your
his voice.
internal, you
Right,
know, devil inside you
right.
listening only to it, or you know,
So him being just a mouse, I think, is extremely appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, like in the I never even thought about this, but in the Bible, when like most of the people, like no one ever saw God except for Jesus, but they never in the Old Testament they never see God. I think like Moses sees God, or you see him in the fire, or like you see representations of God, but no one has ever seen God with their own eyes, but he
Mhm.
speaks to them.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
like the
Right,
whole Bible, it other than I guess the New Testament, I mean, I guess you could argue it's still Jesus's words, and he calls himself the Word. I am the
right.
Word, the truth, and the
Right.
light.
Right.
And
Hmm.
they so like the whole Old Testament is just written based off of what people were told by God.
Hmm.
Um and the fire, when you were saying through the fire, the only way out is through or whatever.
Hmm.
Um I don't know if they don't really explain it, which is good, but like you don't really I kind of took it as uh I don't know why I can't remember all these names. I think it's cuz it's like Korean or whatever, but
Hmm.
Gina or the kid, the dude.
The demon guy,
Yeah,
Genu, I think.
Ginu.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Ginu, I think he may have gotten his soul back from her voice, but like she had sung around him before. I think he got his soul back when he stepped into the fire to save her. Like he
Mm.
he like
Right,
sacrifices himself, but
right.
he's holding back the
Yes.
fire,
Yeah.
and the fire is like beaming on him, and he gets his soul and he gives it to her.
I think you might be right there because at the end, real quick, at the end, they kind of show for the first time in the movie that the Gima, the Demon King, he's like consuming the demons' souls too. Like
Mm,
when they start when they're killing them, slicing them, and they disintegrate, he's consuming that as well.
Right.
So maybe once he entered the fire, he was like reunited with his soul. Maybe.
Well, he says that I got my soul back, and so I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and yeah, there's probably a lot you could look at in there, but real quick on the note of hearing, um, and this clairaudiency or clair something like that. It's like clairvoyancy, but you know, hearing
Oh,
instead.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, I've never seen a ghost, but
Me
I've
neither.
heard, uh, or sorry, yeah, I
Mm.
said I've never seen a ghost, but I've heard my dog's ghost. It's a story I'll get into
oh
one day.
wow.
I
Uh,
think I remember you telling me that. I love
yeah,
it.
okay.
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna
Uh,
say the knocking, which is also
well,
like
that's
here.
crazy. Yeah. You know what? I'll get into both of them. Because why not? You know, why save it till next time? We
Can
can
I just
just
say
say it
one
now.
real quick
Yeah.
last thing about the fire, about the
Hmm.
Demon King in the
Yes.
movie? I just a really quick trivial thing, but I noticed at a point in the movie, I can't remember exactly when, but there's a point where they're focusing on the on the demon's form, the mouth of fire. It kind of looks like the Jaws poster,
Hmm.
and
Mm,
I loved that.
Right.
It's just a big upward facing mouth of sharp teeth. I just thought that was
right.
really clever, scary imagery. Uh,
Yeah.
that was it.
That is
No,
cool.
that totally beautiful design.
Hmm.
Um, So, and now I'm gonna share my story, and then I'm gonna share another person's story. One day I was just I don't ever listen to the radio, but I was on NPR for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what my radio was on when I turned it on, and a woman is sharing her own uh, clairaudience story. So, anyways, I'll share mine. Mine really beautiful, and I'll share it now because I feel like the reason I was given it is so that I could share it with other people and help them. But so when so let me give a little background. My first dog I ever had, named Maggie, she died uh, um, by a sack of or like cancer bursting and then it like basically suffocating her heart or like her maybe something around the pericardium or something like and cardio myocardial effusion or something. She she um she died a natural death in my house, and she stopped being able to drink after stopped being able to eat. So but I didn't want to put her down. Actually the my mom was like, you know, she's your dog, you should can you do it? And then I had said no, I don't want to do it, and then I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. But the day that I was gonna go do it, even though that day I had or over after telling my mom I would do it, like that night I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to put her down. I still hadn't told my mom, but I was supposed to go do it the morning she died, and that she ended up dying. But I don't believe in having any drugs when you're dying because I feel like that will actually mess with your. And I only heard this, and this is just it's not like a strong belief, but I heard that if you have drugs in your when you're passing over, you'll be more confused, and so you'll get lost in the
Oh wow.
whatever the afterlife is.
I haven't heard that.
Yes, so I believe in only dying of natural death.
Mm.
So anyways, that was why I chose to not put down honey. Uh, and so,
Maggie.
yeah, Maggie. And so, even though I had known that, I was like, all right, I'll do it. But then, what when I eventually decided not to, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with that idea. I don't think I should do it. So,
I miss her
anyways,
so much.
yeah,
She
well,
was such a good girl.
yeah, of course, I feel like, but it's, I feel like, it's more of a loss for us. I don't
Oh
I
yeah.
think she's okay. But
Yeah.
so and this is where the story is going. She she ends up, like I said, dying on the day I was gonna put her down anyways. That's already pretty magical, mystical.
Hmm.
And she died anyways on the couch where she used to lay with her head over the arm of the couch, pointed towards the front of the door, and she would always just stare at that door, and there's glass in it so she could bark whenever she saw any sort of light change or any sort of movement past it. She would bark because she's the most anxiety ridden dog ever. I think part of the reason why she died so early, she was 8 years old, is because she had zero amount of exercise, because she literally could not go out during the day because she
Oh.
would go about 5 feet and then get overstimulated by something and scared and run directly back in. So
Oh.
she had zero exercise. And then one day my friend came over, or like for a month, he stayed over at my house and was playing with her, the most exercise she ever gotten. And he's like, uh, and he did this out of love, so I don't blame him at all. But he's like, this is what she loves the most. You put the toy above her head and she tries to get it, and it's hard for her to get it, but for her, that's what she wants. She wants the challenge.
Yeah.
Anyways, that stretching of her head, I feel like really actually damaged her
Oh.
heart. So anyways, died natural death, not literally not being able to drink. um and so I was the only one awake in the house. My friend who I just told you, he was asleep. I was the only other person in the house, and I was, she was basically like panting, right before she died. And the days leading up, she just kept panting and panting and panting. Very hard for her to breathe. And she, uh, I go to prepare my meal for the day, the first meal for the day. And for that hour, while I'm about like 10 or 12 feet away from her with my back towards her, is when she passed away. And so I come over and she's gone. You know, life is out of her at least, and or her spirit is. And so, anyways, that's how she passed away on that couch. Anyways, I would say like 2 months later or 6 months later, I can't really even remember, but 2 months later, let's say, or 3 months, 6 months, who cares? We're, or actually, it would be interesting to know because I want to know about when this thing happened so that I could know like, okay, exactly the timeline of what's going on with her spirit or whatever. So, but I can't remember. So, anyways, or she passed away. Months later, I go and my mom had already been talking about getting a new dog. And now she's confirmed, like, okay, we're going to get a new dog. And I say, oh, or well, she calls me up on the phone and says, yeah, we're getting a new dog. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And she, yeah, that's great. Thanks, Mom. And my mom goes, can you get the crate out of the garage that we used for Maggie when she was a baby? I said, of course. So I bring it inside or I hang up with my mom, go to get the crate, pick it up, and I'm in the garage, and the garage is one step down from the rest of the house. Okay. So I'm coming through, go up the step. Now I'm in the doorway between the garage and the house. I'm in the doorway of the connection between those two places. And I hear Maggie's bark. And we have very thick glass windows. And uh it was like the middle of the day while everyone's at work. For whatever reason, I was home. My work schedule was like that. Um, it was her distinct bark coming from where she passed away inside the house, and her distinct bark because I would go to the dog park so often that I know most dogs have a different bark from each other, and it was her bark, and um, it was when I was in the coming from the garage, which is like Earth, you know, the lower world, going into the higher world, which is the house, right? Because it's a step above when it comes to elevation, and I'm in the doorway between. So I'm like physically where she's actually going through in the real world, right? The up above world would be heaven, obviously, and so she's passing, you know, into heaven, and I'm synchronistically passing into, you know, the into the house, the upper world of the house. And so anyways, that was crazy for me. Now, two things that make it even more insane. One is the I later on find out my mother found out about where we were adopting our new dog from the mother of a student to be who was coming into her art room with her mother um, to tour the classroom and tour the school. They stopped off, check out my mom's art room. Then my mom, then after that tour of the art room, the mother of the daughter is talking to my mom, and my mom is talking about, you know, how my mom told me all this. My
Mhm.
mom is talking about how our dog passed away and she's looking for a new dog. And so this mother recommends, oh, there's this place called Good Karma. It's a rescue. You could adopt a dog from there. Anyways, that's where we find Honey, our new dog. But right before or right after they leave the room, my mom says, "Oh, and what is your and right and after she had already been told by this woman about the Good Karma Rescue, my mom goes, "Oh, what is your daughter's name?" And she goes, "Oh, yes, my daughter's name is Maggie." All right. So this is another Maggie giving some grace of, you know, or it's like the sign of, you know, everything being connected, the synchronicity. And you know, it's like a gift. Like I said, like I'm sharing it because I think it's a gift to know about these things, to have some sort of peace in life. And so I want you guys to, you know, have that peace in your life and then give it back to someone else. Like if I make your day a little bit easier, maybe you'll treat other people nicer, right? And so, anyways, but I feel like it was a gift that Maggie gave me when I heard that, you know, because that has given me so much more peace. And so, anyways,
I remember you also telling me when you first told me this story.
yes,
I didn't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
sir.
I remember you also telling me you felt like it was Maggie maybe saying, like, knowing that you're bringing her crate back out because
Right.
you're getting another
Thank you.
dog.
Yes, yes,
You
exactly.
remember
She's probably
her
seen all
saying,
this.
like,
Yeah.
it's okay,
Yeah,
you know?
right. Or she's like, or she's figuring out like, oh, okay, I'm leaving, or it's like, oh, okay, I'm gone now,
Right.
and there's a new dog, so
Yeah.
like, okay, bye, Mike, you know.
I'm gonna start crying.
But so, and then the last thing, there's another synchronicity with this story, and then I want to share the second Claire audiency, which didn't happen to me, but anyways, um, the 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 other thing that has to do with Maggie's passing away was um, the day that I found out she had cancer. My mom called me up and she's at the vet and tells me she has cancer. Well, that day was the anniversary. Um, it was it was the anniversary either to the day or one day after. I can't remember exactly of my friend's the 1 year anniversary of my friend's dog passing, right? And my friend's dog passed. I think it was to the day. My friend's dog passed on April 21st. I always remember that because I always look at all the numbers and all of the names of things. So because they're all, to me, significant messages and like
He knows what we're talking
symbols.
about.
Exactly.
My dog is here. He just
He
came up
knows
to
exactly
us.
what we're talking about.
Oh,
So, and he had come up here before, but he didn't come and
Yeah,
make
this is the
himself
first time he's
known
came up to us
right
this whole
today.
conversation.
So, but 4/2/1, so April 21st was the day I found out 1 year later that my dog was passing away, and then the year before my friend's dog passed away on, and so 4/2/1 is 4 legs, 2/1, right? So
Huh.
the four legs that this dog has, right, is now going to, like, not the literal number two, but like, you know, to
yeah.
to a one source of God, you know, the spirit, you
Wow.
know. And anyways, that was cool. But now the other thing, I'll keep it really brief. And then I have no more notes and we could finish it off if you guys want. But basically what I heard, I flipped it on at the perfect time. She's talking about how in this NPR segment of this Native American author, she goes, I was in my mother's house, something like that, and it's wild. She she heard her mother's voice say, "I love you, mom," which
Wow.
is strange. Yeah, it's
Huh.
like her mother is like saying what her daughter feels, and it's she's hearing it in her own. The daughter is hearing it in her own head, and I was just like, yeah, that's like since I've had that experience, I was, you know, extremely believing of her, and you know, and it was literally just like this random part, just like it is of this review, just this random thing she brought in, and you know, didn't make the whole review about it, but yeah, I think the audio, like I said, with the bell, you know, oh, and in weapons, I didn't bring it up in the review,
Oh,
but
right.
the bell, obviously, it's for good as well. You know, being able to hear God, you know, is that subtle, you know, that subtle energy you could pick up on, right? It's representation of that, but also that.
The bell was one of the things in weapons that I never fully understood. We
Right.
can talk about that later, though.
No, I think it has to do with like the following the that sense that not everyone can hear it, but
Hmm.
it's something, it's a way of communicating um um uh between the spirit world
It
and
only
the
affects like
physical
the
world.
people under her control, and
Only affects the ones under
maybe it
control, yeah.
also has to do with like it's a class of students that she takes control of,
Yeah,
and like
only
it's
the
like a
ones.
school bell, you
Yes,
know.
right. No, and I thought of that as well. I didn't bring that up because it doesn't go into my argument. So yeah, excuse me. But it's like okay, ding ding ding, ready, dinner's ready, or like it's
Gotcha.
some signifier of like or like some like but I don't even know what the school bell is used for, honestly.
It
Um,
like marks periods.
is it
Uh,
but the original? Like
I mean, like in school, when the bell rings,
yes, but
like
then I feel like that bell is also like I
maybe
know
it's
it's
to
at the
like
dinner.
get the students'
I don't.
attention too.
Oh, okay,
They
that
used
there
to
you go.
maybe. I don't know
But
back
Did
getting the
this
then.
take
attention is what
place?
we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Are
What?
you talking about? I didn't see weapons, but is it like referring
It's
to
a
something like way back in the day, or is it like in modern
it's
times?
not said to what it's
Well, in the
literally
movie,
it's part of her magic.
yeah, in the movie she uses a bell to like initiate when the people under her control to like begin their action, I guess. At least that's how I saw it. But we were also just talking about like why
Mhm.
in terms of storytelling, like what the significance of a bell is. Because like it didn't have to be a bell, could have been something else. But
Mhm.
also there was like a symbol and a number on the bell, which I didn't
Right.
but that's kind of unrelated to the topic at hand.
Yeah, it was a triangle and a six, I believe,
Yeah, I think so.
which is like 36, or three sixes. You
Okay.
know,
Oh yeah, true.
666. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um.
That's such a beautiful story though about your dog.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with
Of
us.
course. Thank you guys for for staying there while I
I'm
did it.
literally like wiping away tears because dogs
Yeah.
are so important to me.
Thank you for saving the aspects that I forgot of too. You
Of
know.
course, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that was. I was thinking that that was significant. Like that is a crazy time. Like you could have heard that noise at any time, or that could have happened any time. But it was when you were bringing the puppies, the small crate from the garage to
Mhm.
get the new puppy. Um.
Also, like a skeptic could just say, "Oh, it was a dog outside. It could have been
Yeah,
another
of
dog,
course.
someone's dog out in the backyard or
And I don't know.
next door or
I
something."
don't know, but I believe.
However,
Yeah. I
however,
believe.
you know your own dog's bark.
Yes.
Each dog's voice sounds different.
Hmm.
I can tell the difference between my two dogs. They have different voices, so you know when it's your own
Right.
dog.
And they're like almost the same. They're the same breed. Your dogs,
Yes,
same size,
people often ask her if they're twins because they
right?
look so similar.
But they do have such different
They
barks,
have
or at least
different barks.
distinct.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. He's still with us, by the way, right?
Hmm.
He's resting his I don't know if you can see. He's resting his head with
Yeah, I
us.
see his little his
Sorry.
nose. No, you're good. That's super cute. Um, yeah. No, I didn't know that clairvoyance was. I always perceived clairvoyance is so that's seeing things.
Clairvoyance viewing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I never knew that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I
And then
assumed that when psychics like that makes sense.
seeing the
So
future.
It does make sense. Yeah. I also always kind of interpreted it as clairvoyance, just like knowledge, like knowing things. But
That I think there's another name for that too.
yeah, maybe you're
There's
right.
Claire something for that too.
Yeah. But I didn't realize that it was strict, like based on a language breaking down the different parts of the word, that it means like sight. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. I
and the
remember.
sound, um, yeah, you basically said it just now, but I've heard it as described as like, yeah, you basically said it just in different words, but yeah, it's the connection between the spiritual and the physical because you can't see it,
Mhm.
but you like feel it. Um, so yeah, I think you said it's like the energies that it's like the spiritual talking to us or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it like connects
But
us to.
it sounds identical to a regular noise, you know?
Yeah.
It like for that lady, it sounded like her mother was saying, "I love you, mom," in the room with her. But
Right.
of course, her mom's not alive anymore, so it couldn't have been, you know?
I'm
And same for Maggie.
I'm so much less of a skeptic
Or it
regarding
couldn't have been
things.
her physical body doing it. Right.
I'm so much less of a skeptic regarding these things than I used to be because I read actually not I didn't finish it, but I read most of Zach Bagans' book. He's the guy
Mm,
who did that ghost hunting show.
nice.
And in the book he said most of like the evidence that we would say for the presence of a ghost or a spirit or something is stuff that can't be like recorded or documented.
Yeah.
Like it's not always something you see or something you can hear. It's usually like a feeling or a change in temperature or you know, vibration. It's something that cannot be recorded by a camera or microphone, you know. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you bringing that up with me, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Yep, 100%. That is the way it is, I believe." Yeah. See, and that's another reason why I bring it up is like I feel so lucky to have been in the right place at the right time,
Hmm.
and so I want to be that right place in the right time for the next person. And now,
Yeah.
of course, you still have to believe my word, and even if you're not, you still could be skeptical of it, or even if you do believe me, you could still be skeptical of it. And that's okay. But you know, uh, I hope that feeling does come to you one day.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, yeah. People who I think I don't know about most, but probably I would feel like most people at this point have either had an experience like that or they are open to it, and
mhm.
anyone who hasn't, who's a skeptic, a more skeptical person, which I understand. I'm not really a skeptical person. I'm kind of the opposite. I believe anything like um well, a lot of things, but s- skeptic people, though they may have an experience that they may see or listen to this, and then you know something will happen, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, it,
Right.
yeah, no, like he did hear that dog."
Yeah. I used to be such a hard skeptic because I'm a very like science brain person.
Mhm.
I work in healthcare, the medical field. So uh, I there's a part of me that believes in, only strong science and hard facts. But I think also when you're younger, you kind of have this false notion that everything is so simple and you understand everything. And I kind of feel like
Yeah.
the older we get, or at least the older I get, I feel like the less I understand and the less
Yep.
I realize that I know.
Yes.
So
I think that's a good good scientists. They also seem to have had that perspective as well.
yeah, and that's a very important part of science is acknowledging that we might be wrong.
Hmm.
Um, and always willing to take in and accept new evidence that even if it contradicts the evidence we already have. I'm like Mike. I haven't exactly had a personal experience seeing or hearing anything supernatural. However, I have had a near-death experience. That's probably the most significant
I was gonna say,
spiritual related experience I've had.
but it's those things that open you up to it or
Yeah,
help you open up to it, and then
yeah,
I hear yours, you hear mine, I hear
yeah,
hers, I hear his, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is so really one I just want to bring up.
yeah.
A woman at the park, met her one day, never met her again. She was with her son there playing. She's a single mother playing with her son baseball, wiffle ball, and I throw myself in there. We're playing, and then she just randomly brings up, "Oh yeah, I think I had shared the dog story about Maggie," and I feel like, and she said to me, "Yeah, when I saw my grandmother's ghost, and she was like the blue, like Star Wars ghost," and I was like, "Oh no, yeah," like I had chills. I was like, "Oh yeah, no, she's 100% telling the truth," and
Hmm.
because why are you gonna lie to me about that?
Right,
Like it's
right.
random, it's completely random, you know.
And
May,
it's these small interpersonal interactions that I think are more authentic and believable because what reason would a random stranger have to lie to you about that?
yes.
You know?
Although it does provide her comfort, she does feel, because if you believe in it, it provides you comfort. And, of course, maybe that's why. So she could be fooling herself. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, of course, but it could also be true.
Right,
And
right,
how am I going to know?
right.
And so it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
I'd rather be open to it because I feel like that's just as
Yep.
true. Guys, look up novelist interview, Chuck. Um,
I saw you looking at
yeah, here, what's his
Charles Bukowski.
Yeah, no, that's who I thought his name was,
Okay.
but it's Chuck Palahniuk or something. Soft white underbelly. he gives one of the most convincing um um like tales, his own personal tale of a ghost story.
Hmm.
And I
Send me
watched,
that link, please, because I will absolutely
it
watch
was
it.
so good. It involves dreams and like
I love that.
talking to like people in his dream past way, and then him doing stuff in the real world with this spirit, and then it affecting the real world outside of the dream when he comes back and sees.
Hmm.
There's been fantastic things about I can't remember who, but like I think it was um uh dang it, it was like Oliver Stone or someone like similar to him, who like basically they they had this oh okay, yeah, it's New Thinking Aloud. Jeffrey Mishlove, he had an experience that started his entire career
Huh.
where he was in a dream, and he goes to his neighbor's house, who he doesn't I think at the time he didn't know whose house it was or something. Goes inside of their house,
In the dream.
yes, opens up a magazine, but you know in magazines how you can't read.
Oh yeah, in
But
dreams they say you can't read at
right.
all. Yeah.
So he goes he anyways, in real life, he then goes to see the magazine, or he goes inside the house some way because it is his neighbor. He finds out, and he's like, "Oh wait, I'm in the house that I was in the dream."
Hmm.
He goes to the room where the magazine is. The magazine's in there in the room,
Uh-huh.
and then that it ends up being about broadcasting, and I can't remember, but then his entire life after that ends up being about broadcasting. He's like,
Wow.
it was such an extreme and paranormal broadcasting. So he talks about
Okay. Wow.
para parapsychology, I think it's called.
Okay.
But yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
Jeffrey Mishlove, big what's big thinker? No, it's called New Thinking Aloud. Yeah,
That was like a either you could see that as either like maybe a direction or sign from
yeah,
God
right.
or like foresight.
Yeah,
Like
so
he's looking
exactly.
into the
There's a
future.
foresight. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no.
Wow, that's so cool.
Oh, and then last thing, these things really do happen, I believe.
Hmm.
Last thing though, my father, he when he was in middle school, not middle school, no, when he was, I think he was in high school, he used to meditate at the beach. He might have smoked too when he was meditating. I don't even know.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll ask him and then bring it up again on one show.
Hmm.
But he goes, yeah, he was meditating on the beach, and he like went like astral projected into his principal's um, room at the school, goes like floats into the room and sees behind a painting, and it's a safe. There's a
Huh.
safe. Then the safe opens, and I think there's money in it. He sees.
Huh.
The next week later, that safe was or like there was a robbery at the school
Oh
Wow.
my
and the money
gosh.
was stolen.
Wow.
Yes. So yes, when
Yeah,
people talk
there's
about, I'm a huge skeptic when they're talking about the CIA is doing what's it called
Like experiments on children or something.
well that of course,
remote
but like
viewing.
no, like the
Remote
what
viewing.
remote viewing. Yeah, whenever I hear that I'm like, God, this kills me. But like because I
I
think it's
mean,
such horseshit sometimes. But at
I
the same
was
time, it's what he was doing, but in control.
I
So
was
that's
gonna
what.
say, yeah, you have a direct experience with it, and like there's some crazy. I know I would understand why you'd be skeptical of it, but
Mhm,
there's some crazy, and I would understand why you'd be skeptical of studies, but there's a lot similar to what you're saying. There's
mhm.
a lot of crazy stories with remote viewing and the government projects.
Right.
I take it with a grain of salt too,
Hmm.
but I mean, there's been like real world examples of like finding missing
Yeah.
people. Um, but anyway,
Wow.
were you gonna say something about the near death experience? Because I have a super quick, simple, spooky ghost story when
Oh, I
you're.
love that. Yeah. I was just gonna mention a little, I guess, a little tidbit about it. But so I mentioned I used to be a lot more skeptical. I was never like a completely closed off skeptic though, because I had this near death experience when I was a child. I was, I think, about 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly when it was, but so I've always, I think because of that too, I've always had a really morbid fascination with death and all of that in general. But another one of the things that opened me up more to this kind of realm of the paranormal and these kinds of experiences are, once you look more into it. Also, I wanted to mention that like having a near death experience and almost dying are like two separate things. Like they're not the same thing. Whether which one is considered what, like it's, depends who you ask, but there's a difference between having a near death experience and almost dying. So like
Hmm.
when people say like they beat cancer and they, that's almost dying. Like that might not necessarily be considered a near death experience. Or when like you narrowly avoid a car crash, near death, to me, near death experience is when you have that kind of ascension,
Hmm.
and it's a spiritual experience. Maybe it's kind of also a form of astral projecting. I don't
Yeah.
really know, but
Hmm.
because with my experience, I felt like I was lifting out of myself.
Right.
Like my
Whoa,
spirit was lifting out of my body. Um, and then when I came back, it was like a rubber band, like snapped right back. And this is something that really confirmed that it was a real thing to me, is that everyone who's had a near death experience where they feel that ascension kind of,
Hmm.
that rubber band feeling when you come back is like a universal thing that
Hmm.
everyone will say when they've had a near death experience themselves.
that's super good to know because I've been telling everyone I recently had a near death experience, but
Yeah.
I almost died. I
Okay.
didn't have a near death experience because what I experienced though
Not
was
necessarily saying one is whichever language you use applies to whichever experience. It's
right.
just like, to me they're not the same thing.
No,
So,
you're definitely right because I did have a unique experience for me. Like it was different from my other experiences where like I was driving and I went on the wrong side of the road or something and like
mm.
I had like an adrenaline rush in those moments. And in this one,
And I don't mean to like downplay that experience, because that's definitely a different kind. It's definitely an experience when that you have that rush of adrenaline. You
Hmm.
can experience some intense things with that as well.
right.
So I don't mean to downplay those kind of experiences
No,
when
no,
I say
no.
that. I just mean to say it's distinct and it's a different thing, you know?
No. No, no, no. That's good to know. That's what I'm saying is like I w- because but what recently a giant limb at my job that I left because of this. It it was it was accidentally cut and it was tied to a rope. It was really high up, big
A limb of a
limb.
tree.
Yeah, I was in a tree service business where we
Okay.
cut down trees, and they would cut the limb, they would tie it to a rope, cut it, and then rig it down, and the rope got cut, and my job was to like when they were pulled down with the rope, to maneuver them. So like I'm supposed to be waiting below them to grab them in case they like hit the house, hit a car,
Mm.
but this one got cut and so I'm right under it and it comes down really fast. Obviously it's a really big limb and I jump out of the way and I what I thought was a near death experience, but I'm glad you made that distinction because I was like this didn't feel like I've heard about near death experiences where it is a spiritual experience
Hmm.
and I had like a spiritual moment where I'm like, this was more like a psychological thing where I'm like, oh, I could be dead right now if I wouldn't have gotten out of the way. And
Yeah.
the unique part to me, like unique from my experiences, but it wasn't. Now wouldn't call it a near death experience
But it's
with the
still
under.
definitely a spiritual experience, because when you're like when you your conscious mind recognizes that your life almost came to an end,
Yeah,
Hmm.
like you were a second away or an inch away,
Yeah.
that changes your soul. So like an
Yeah.
experience like that is still definitely spiritual. It's just making the distinction between when you're like, maybe it's more of like
Consciousness.
right, when your consciousness is fading or like your spirit is leaving your body.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's insane. That's like some amazing stuff, but spooky. But
Jeffrey Mishlove, the I think he's like a doctor of like psychology or something, but he has, I think, done, I think, the most studies or something like that on NDEs, near death experiences. And so like I think he's interviewed the most people.
There's a whole
There-
like documentary show about it
yeah.
on Netflix. I only watched a couple episodes, but
Go ahead, Trevor. What were you saying?
but basically I didn't even have though an adrenaline rush. I just had like this overwhelming euphoria, which was like
Yeah.
super interesting because like all my coworkers, because I've had countless, not countless, but a few times where I was driving and either I or someone else did something really stupid, and I
Hmm.
was like, just had like I said that adrenaline rush. But in
Hmm.
this instance, I I get those a lot, adrenaline like spikes,
Hmm.
not like to a degree where it's like concerning, just like usually in traffic, like, and I
driving is terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, I think about it. It
But this was
sometimes
so
hit.
weird that like all my coworkers were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I actually feel amazing. Like I'm just
Right.
glad to be alive." And
Yeah, that euphoria sense makes total sense. Like,
yeah,
Mhm.
because you recognize like you're grateful to be alive right now.
yeah. Um,
And that,
That's fascinating.
are you gonna say, Trevor?
I was just gonna say the ghost story.
Okay, well, real
Yeah,
quick, I've had I'm I'm like threading the needle when it comes to swerving out of the way of something where I
Yeah,
could have been decapitated.
yeah.
yeah,
And
I've had an experience like that too, actually, now that you guys mention it.
yeah,
I came like this close to being hit by a car on my bicycle once, a
right.
van actually.
oh my, on
Well,
a bike, that would be,
Yeah, I was riding my bike and I was this close, not to
no,
overtake your
no, there's a
your turn, but
Good Fortune new movie came out, watched it, and it's the guardian angel tapping on your shoulder to, like
mm,
that reflex you have that's not like it's a superhuman reflex. You didn't think about it. Like
yeah,
uh it's it's like that to me, it's like it could be it could be like God, like, no, we have more to your story. We haven't, haven't finished yet. We have to keep going,
and in
you know.
experiences like that, when people have moments like that where it's, you know, like so visceral and and intense of
Mhm.
a reaction, they almost say like, I almost feel like I wasn't in control of my body anymore, like
Yes.
something else took over.
Right.
So maybe it isn't a guardian angel
Hmm.
or God or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
What was the ghost story now, Trevor?
Yeah,
Get
this one's
into it. I'm
really
so excited.
simple, perfect. Yesterday was Halloween, type story. Um, and there is an element a skeptic could come up with something for this pretty easily, but this
Hmm.
is something I saw, and there was two witnesses, and one of them I'm friends with to this day, and we talked about it recently, and
Yeah.
um, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that."
Yeah.
And that's we talked about that. Him and I both, we also had a weird UFO experience, and similar thing happened on some like Men in Black vibes. Like we both like forgot about it, even though it's one of the craziest things that's ever happened to us. Um,
Well, that's another psychological phenomenon. Not to cut
yeah,
you off
Yes.
again,
Yes.
but
no, you're good.
when people go through really intense, potentially even traumatic things,
Hmm.
we just tend to block it out and
Yeah,
like it never and forget about it, like it never happened.
My
yeah,
brother and I, the I've had two UFO experiences, but my brother and I had one when we were children together, and my dad was there too.
You have to tell me about that one.
And and well, yes, it was good, but
Let Trevor tell his story first, though.
okay. Well,
He's been waiting so patiently.
we saw
no,
it,
you're good.
and my dad, we asked our dad about it like like a year after it happened. Oh yeah, I remember it. A couple years after. Oh yeah, I remember it. Then like we didn't ask him for years, 10 years go down the road. Steven and I will bring it up, all the time still. At least once a year, or like
Hmm.
twice a year, it'll come up somehow. So yeah, I still remember. My dad though, he stopped remembering it at some point. So
Hmm.
yeah, that is a interesting thing. But
Yeah.
anyways.
So I think we were in high school at some point, um, probably junior, senior year, based on like the group of people I was with. It was me and two other guys, and we were at this house that my parents don't live at now, but it's like literally like 2 blocks north from where I live right now. I'm still in the same neighborhood basically in my own place, and we're just out all night on my parents' like back deck, and there's like an alley. It's like one of those neighborhoods where it's like a downtown area, and there's
Mhm.
like an alley that connects the backyards, and it wasn't gravel, but it was like old, and there's a lot of rocks in it, so it might as well have been gravel. And we're out there all night talking about just random, like, teenage, kind of the same thing we're talking about right now, like
Mhm.
UFOs, ghosts, um, trippy stuff, basically.
Mhm.
And we're there. We got out there pretty late, but then we were there like all night, like so 3 a.m. Of course, 3 a.m. comes around, and because I don't remember this specifically, but I remember at the time like that being part of the story or the memory because we were like, oh, it's really late now. We should probably like get going, or someone was like, I should get going, and we hear this noise that we stop talking and we're like, what is that noise? And it sounds like someone is dragging their foot through the gravel or like through the rocks. And it starts at one end of the alley and it takes a long time to get there. And we're like freaking out. And my parents had this light that like automatically comes on in the back of the garage. It didn't come on, but eventually, but there's like street lights. There
It's
was
like a
an
motion activated one.
yes, it didn't come on, but there was an old lady in a nightgown, and she was like creepily old. Like I'm a very I try like you were saying earlier. I try to be a very and I'm kind of naturally an empathetic person. So if I would have seen just like an old lady walking at night, I at least like to believe I would have been like, "Oh, are you okay?" or at least wouldn't have been like terrified of her. But something about it was like the scariest thing ever. And I don't think she was like barefoot, but she had on like sandals or something, and it was cold, and she had on this nightgown. And so like yeah, a skeptic could say this could be someone with dementia or like an old lady,
Hmm.
but later on but the motion light didn't never came on. She made it through the whole alley, and it was so scary. One of my friends was like, he went into my kitchen and grabbed like a knife. He's like, I'm not going to my car with that. I'm like, you're not gonna kill some old lady. Like, what do you think you're gonna do? And yeah, what's she gonna do to you? And but a few months later, we're hanging out with this like witch girl that we're friends with at the time. This like yeah, like a self-proclaimed witch girl. Like she called herself a witch from like 6th grade, and so now we're in high school, and she's like got the cool house that we all hang out at and do teenage things at, smoke weed or whatever. And she's like, we tell her that story, and she's like so casually like, "Oh, that's the gray lady." And we're like, "The gray lady?" And she's like, "Yeah, she died here like in the 30s. She like worked at one of the factories or something, and she like walks around at night." And I was
Oh my
like,
god.
100%.
That's
"Mm,
hilarious.
Yeah.
yeah."
So
I'm
she's
like,
so
"The gray
casually is like,
lady,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's
So
how it
that
becomes when you've seen it enough, even though I don't know how much she had, but that is how it feels. Um, she also could be, like a naive little whatever. But anyways, a lot of things. But
I think it was like it's like a local urban legend. Like I don't know if she's
oh,
seen
okay,
it, but
okay,
like she knew about it.
that's
Wow.
cool too. Yeah, and so a couple of things. First, my mom, she she played with a Ouija board with I think your mother and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and their cousins. And one time they saw a and maybe my mom's best friend too. They saw a like my mom said a pirate ghost.
Wow.
So, but
This
And
is
they're
the
you
both
guys
first I'm
live in
hearing of
Florida,
this.
so like that's
no, no. This was
believable.
in New York. This was in
Oh,
New
well,
York.
even so, New York as well. There's
More, yeah.
some pirates there.
But they also look like pioneers, And so,
Right.
anyways, um, well, mm, uh, things I've heard about ghosts. Uh, I've heard that they occur more around run, running bodies of water, so like streams.
And
Um,
I live right by a river, the White
there you go.
River.
Yes, they say something about the magnetic field um, in that water affecting the energetic field in the ghost, and so
Huh.
it like kind of replays that that remnants of that person's existence in the physical world. Um, and that could also be like sounds as well in a house. Um, you could hear that because it's been recorded in in the way that ghosts get recorded and then get brought back through the energetic resonance of a place. And then another thing I've heard is that this I just read recently. Well, both of these things I read about. The first thing is from this book by Francis X. King in the first chapter of the book on dowsing, but the whole book is called The Occult or something. But look up Francis X. King. It might be just called Occult, but basically I found that through it's a book that Stanley Kubrick loved, or at least was in his archives, so he was reading it. uh, then the second detail I know is from a book by R.J. Stewart called Underworld Initiation, and like somewhere in the first 100 pages it talks about how or he talks about how the people who would sacrifice themselves be like they want to the person in the cult or the tribe who wanted to honor have the honor of like actually like deciding to sacrifice themselves, that this would be used basically by the priests as like a greater way to make sure you confirmed that you're going to have a phantom left over from this.
Hmm.
And but it's specific. He specifically used the word phantom because it's different. It's different from a ghost or a spirit maybe. In the way that he described it, I think was basically a death that is traumatic or passionate leaves behind a phantom as long as the body remains. And so this is why you would bury the body instead of cremating it. In most cultures, you bury the body instead of cremating it. And then my idea was that this is a way of, and this phantom is not the person, he said, um, is not the person. It is just their but he does believe in spiritual spirit and blah blah blah, reincarnation, rebirth. He talks about a lot of those things, but and past lives and blah blah blah. But he talks about it in a all of them in very nuanced ways and ways that are hard to understand. But anyways, he he says that the phantom is like that recording of the person, like the remnant of the person's uh you know energetic field, and you could see it, and you'll see it as long as the body is intact and not completely disintegrated. And So in my eyes, I was like, okay, this is important because the priests would, if they knew that, right, they noticed somehow like, oh, okay, this body we cremated, the phantom didn't come or it didn't last. And so, but if we buried it, it did last. And I believe that this would be important because if the priest's job in the community is to connect them with the spiritual world, and like I'm saying, when you connect with the spiritual world, you I think become a better person. And so if the priest is trying to connect you with the spiritual world, what better way of being helping you become a spiritual person other than to be like, hey, look at this fucking apparition that looks like the person that just died and maybe just died an honorable death, like they got to be a spirit. And even if now we know because RG Stewart, somehow figured it out that that's not even the person's spirit, it's actually their phantom. Like still back then, when it was practice, it would have been super useful in the way I just explained. So that's basically that's what I'll say about that. So
Hmm.
yeah, we went on for a long time. Um,
I think it was a good one though.
Yeah, well, real quick, the UFO experience, two UFO experience. One you could just read about. I have it word for word what happened to me in the door. It's called DOR. It's my short story that's on my Instagram called The Pure Pill. You could check it out. The only difference is that happened to me while I was on the highway uh, in broad day looking out towards the Everglades. It was over the Everglades, the UFO, instead of it where it is in the short story. It's just in plane or like the character sees it while he's in a plane ride. Um, you could read it and then just add that and then or change that and you would have the exact image that I would try to explain right now, which would take me too long, but so I won't. But the first UFO experience I had was actually me, my brother, and my dad watching college football. Uh, at least I believe it was. I was a baby. I was probably like 5 years old or something. I didn't really pay attention, but I was at least seven or under because that's when we moved from that house. But yeah, we're in Sunrise, um, and we sitting we're sitting down, me or yeah, on the couch, laying or sitting down, me, my brother, and my dad, and watching football, and we see, at least I noticed immediately. I think my brother did too, probably my dad. We eventually we all look at it. We all get up and look at it, but we notice a green glow light, like overtaking like it's bleeding into the room, but it's so apparently outside, right? And we have a pool right there, and it's the lights glowing all over the pool. This is at night, and so we go out. We don't go out into the we don't go outside, but there's a sliding glass door, and we look through it, and you could see above the pool is a green sphere, massive sphere, um, like so big that you can't see the whole thing because the roof of the house is obstructing it. You could only see,
Wow.
part of the sphere that's not obstructed. And it's like right above our house. And then I don't really remember, honestly. It probably just poofed off. But that was that story. My mother, and these spheres are very common UFO experience. And so my mother had this experience as well when she was in college. She was at Oneonta, which was, I believe, a school in Long Island. And she was at a red light, and there was a orb above her, and perfect sphere, and I think she might have said it was a yellow color. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But or maybe the color of light. But then another sphere. My friend's father, went shortly after he was born. My friend Lucas's father, he lived in upstate New York, and he saw a sphere uh, zipping around,
Wow.
tic-tacking around. Uh, and then another time, my friend, he was in the Everglades. He's a wild man. My friend Austin, he said he saw it multiple or saw stuff like this multiple times, but orange orb, maybe orbs, I can't remember. Or maybe that was on the ocean. Or he said he's seen it in the Everglades. Might have also said he saw it in the ocean. But either way, one of the times he saw it with his dad. And then I think it's like a similar thing where like the dad doesn't remember it anymore or something like that. And then there's another friend I have who's seen it in the Everglades. But Homestead has a Air Force military base, and so if they have that technology, could be them flying it, piloting it. And so yeah, the Everglades has it's all flat land, and it would be the and Everglades is so deep that there's no one out there. You could pilot it all the time, and no one would see it. So yeah, that's all that. But the other friend that I was saying, like he saw it and it had trails, like it left behind trails, which is a common thing that these objects do. And so,
I don't think I've ever had any experience like that, UFO related. And like I said earlier too, I've never seen a ghost that I know of either. I'm so envious of you guys because I would love to experience something like that.
yeah, they're out there. They're out there. You just always keep your head, keep your head up.
Yeah.
All these people I was talking to were, you know, really optimistic people. I know that's you are too, but the just keep your head up. And I think it's like obviously keep your head up to look at the sky,
Hmm.
but if you keep your chin up, always are happy. Not always are happy because heck no, I know I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
But I mean,
Keep your mind open.
yeah, keep your mind open. And
Yeah.
I find myself more often looking down at the ground now. So
Yeah.
I understand if you don't, and it's hard not to look up or it's hard to look up in the sky. But like that's just that's where it's going to be. So
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
easier to see it if you do.
Yeah. That's what my friends and I always used to. That's what we were doing that night was just looking up at the stars. And yeah, I'm not really outside at night that often like nowadays, but um yeah, that used to be just like a pastime, like looking for things. But I bet like all those experiences you were saying probably weren't looking for it. So it's also
No,
one
I
of those
was
things
just looking.
you just got to be at the right place at the right time. But
Yep.
Right.
in addition to, you know, looking up, you got to look up. But
Yeah.
um yeah, this has been a crazy one. And when this all I think this all connects, we were talking about
Absolutely.
demons and ghosts
Yeah.
and
I know you title it like movie reviews, but
Yeah.
to me it's kind of just like a podcast where
yeah.
Yeah.
the movie is like the loose topic, but we
Yeah.
It's
get
almost
wherever
like a
it goes wherever we want.
yeah. It's almost like a parody of a
Yeah.
movie review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally, we do review it, but it's almost like I know Mike has said in the past
It's a joke.
that it's almost like a jokingly called a review.
Inside joke or whatever it's called.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it called an inside joke?
I think so,
That's the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've seen us talk about this so far, then
Hmm.
you know that's the review is it's always like the first 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
And then but
I
yeah.
still think we spent a decent amount of time in this one talking
Yeah,
about
no.
the
Yeah,
movie itself.
the critique we did.
Yeah.
I think
But
we did
um,
like
no,
2 hours on the movie
exactly.
Yeah.
and an hour almost on, alien stuff or
Ghosts and aliens.
paranormal.
I mean, kind of related to the movie because it's about demons, so
Yeah.
uh yeah, I think the only experiences I've had are my near death one, and I had an experience somewhat recently, like in the last few months, where it was definitely a spiritual experience, I think, but it wasn't, I wouldn't classify it as a ghost encounter or a UFO. It was maybe more like evidence of like maybe a higher power, or it was just maybe it could have just been the most outlandish coincidence on earth, but I mean, I don't know.
What just recently?
Yeah, a couple
What
months ago. I could tell it if you want.
Yeah, of course.
So I guess it's not that long, but I was driving home from work. I'm a mid shifter, so I leave work at like 2 in the morning. So I was driving home from work. I took a route that I don't usually take. I only take it occasionally.
Mhm.
But I was listening to one of my favorite songs by my favorite band. My favorite band is 21 Pilots, but the song is called Trees, and it's about it's the ultimate meaning of the song is basically like a call to God, like
Hmm.
asking for acknowledgement. Like the lyrics are kind of like, I'm standing here in the trees, wishing I could say hello to you. There's a whole part of the chorus where he just shouts and screams, musically, hello, hello, asking to say hello to God. So I'm driving home, listening to the song. I blast it. It's a great song. I'm at that part where he's going, hello, screaming it so loud. And on the side of the street, I see one of those like marquee signs outside of a business that can, they put like, you see them outside like fast food restaurants too. Like they put, it's for
Hmm.
advertising.
Hmm.
But this one, I think it's like an insurance company or
It
whatever.
says hello on it.
Yes, it
Yeah, it's
says
like Bruce Almighty, by the way.
not even like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, signs. Yeah,
It's not even like just the word hello. It's like it's just like that's the only thing on the board. The letters are spread out.
right.
Like it's so intentional.
Yeah,
And
synchronicity.
I was just like,
Total synchronicity.
that's like
Yeah,
the one of the
It's
weirdest things I've
literally
ever
a
experienced.
sign,
yeah. It's
or
literally
it
a
It's
was
sign.
on a
literally a
sign.
sign. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like,
Exactly.
it's a song asking for acknowledgement from God.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
when you
that's
say it's the
you have
craziest,
to you just have to be open to those, and you see them all the
I
time.
yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
I wrestled with that for a long time. I'm like, cause yeah, I guess
Of course, it
in
could be
the infinite
coincidence.
universe, anything's
Yeah.
possible. The right sequence of events can happen at just the
Exactly.
right time. So yeah, it could just be a wild, insane coincidence.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they I used to go to church as a kid, and there was this really cool priest there, or pastor, and he would always say he was just like a normie, typical pastor. He wasn't like super deep, but he also wasn't like you're going to hell if he was just
yeah,
like a normal, like a middle of the road, nice pastor. But
love that.
he would always say, and this is like one of the only things he ever said that stuck with me my whole life, is he would always say, "There's no such thing as coincidences," which
Hmm.
is also not really like a Christian value. Like you don't typically hear that from a Christian, at least. More that's more like a spiritual, like a spiritual type person,
Yeah.
but not a Christian type person
A
would
new
say.
ager or
A new
H.
ager, that's
Yeah.
what I was, yeah. But like he would always say that, and that's just always rung true to me. Like when things like that happen, Mike and I talk about those all the time. Like things like that, um, yeah, like it could technically, like mathematically be a coincidence,
Hmm.
but like,
The odds are
um,
astronomical, but it's still
yeah,
1 in a trillion chance
yeah.
that it could happen.
Like there's so many variables.
Yes.
Like you could have, yeah, you
I'll
could have
I'll
It's
bring
gotten
up the
stopped at a
most
red.
recent one for me.
Yeah, and it's
Just that.
not just the fact that it was like the word hello, it was in the middle of the sign. The letters were spaced out intentionally. I was driving past it at the right time, belting the song along, singing along to the song.
Yeah.
Um, so I've wrestled with my faith like my entire not my entire life actually, because I was sorry, my dogs are shaking.
Hmm.
If you can hear that in the background, but for the beginning of my life, I went to Christian school like entire like grade school, my whole childhood basically. And so I was a very, faithful Christian up until I reached adulthood actually, and then I had a massive crisis, and it's been up
Yeah.
and down since then.
Crisis of faith. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good to have because usually you build back stronger. And
Mhm.
so now two last two things. All right, most recent synchronicity, and then the most profound one I ever had.
So that's what you would call that experience that I told you,
Synchronicity. Yeah,
Yeah.
synchronicity.
yeah.
Okay.
Meaningful coincidence.
Love that.
So yes, um, when I was, so I'm at the school that I'm substituting at. Okay, and I am reading their names, and I'm having a bad, not having a bad day, but I'm like having like a doubtful day basically, you know. And I, but I, in that moment when I'm feeling that anxiety, because this is all, like I said, like with the knocking and what you just had, it all links up. What's going on in your head, you see outside,
Hmm.
what's going on, physically or spiritually, it all, links up. So I'm having this thought in my head, and then I see on the names list Steven, and that's my brother's name. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh yay, nice. That I'm like a freaking like signaholic, so I'm like, that was a good sign, even though the dude's name is Steven. Like that's like nothing, you
It's
know
a
what I'm
pretty
saying?
common name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm like, oh, that's a good sign. Michael's happy now, or
Aw.
happier now. So then, but then I'm like, when I'm thinking that, but I'm like, Mike, you're a fucking idiot. But like
Sometimes
at
that's all
least
you
we've had
need, though,
stronger ones. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm like still like getting high, or like having the high vibe from it.
Yeah.
But then I see the name Michael, and I'm like,
Sorry, it's playtime, I guess.
that. Then I see the name Michael. Actually, this is when I was like, oh, that's the sign. So I didn't get it from Steven, but I got warm feeling from Steven. I'm like, okay, we're with the Steven, so that's good. But then I saw Michael, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like there's my payoff. But I was also like, oh, this is a weak sign. Then I see my middle name, Anthony, and I'm like, oh, that's better. Now, super super weak, but still, now that's not it though.
It keeps going.
It
There's
keeps
more.
going, exactly, and they always keep going.
I love it.
Yes,
Billy Mays.
they they at the end of the day, this is the last period of the day, and the the kid Anthony, who I don't know his name until I ask, uh, he ends up staying in the class because we were talking and he really liked what I was saying. And, I asked him, like, what do you want to be in life and what is your passion and stuff like that. So, anyways, we end up talking about some of that stuff after class for about like 2 minutes. And I ask him, by the way, what's your name? Oh, and earlier in the day, earlier in that class period, I had brought up how, like math, because I'm like, maybe math is not for you. But find something you are interested in, and then apply all of that discipline that it took to get good at math to that new skill that you care about, right? Oh, but I think, and I also said, but I also think math is perfect and beautiful, right? And it shows how, even though, you know, our yes, the news and everything going on in our world isn't perfect, but I see that. I can't remember how I say it because I never say God, I never say, but I say like the foundation of what all of this comes from, our universe, is perfect, and we can make it there with our choice. I said all of it.
Hmm.
And so, anyways, the, the kid, so he had known that I'm some level of spiritual if he was really paying attention to my words, which I think he was, because him and another student, a girl, they both were like, everything I said, they were super zoned in on, and they both stayed after class. And so, anyways, I'm telling him, uh, I ask him his name, and he goes Anthony, and I'm like, by the way, Anthony, I wasn't having a great day today, or I wasn't having the best day today. And I correct myself because I don't want him to think I'm having a bad day, but I'm like, I so like it came out just the way I said it. So I said I wasn't having a great day. Or I wasn't having the best day. I wasn't feeling the best that I could. But I had a sign, and I told him exactly what I just told you when I read his name. And your name is Anthony. And so it's crazy that you
He
would be the
stuck
person
around.
you would be the person sticking around,
Yeah.
exactly. And now the sign is complete,
Hmm.
right? And so but yeah, like this is to me the closest you could get to any confirmation. So if you're, you know, if that's not good enough, then I don't know if you're ever going to get any sort of good feeling like I have from it. So and I'm sure to a level you will, but after that they happen enough, the doubt becomes so far less than the actual like belief. And that's how it is. To me, it's a spectrum. I have like the slightest amount of doubt, but I have 99% of belief.
Hmm.
And so, because I can't prove any of this, but um, and now I'll explain the most significant, prominent, profound synchronicity that ever happened to me. So it was on my birthday last year, and or this year, yeah, when I turned 28, and I so I had heard earlier that your birthday from one of my favorite speakers named more in the past. I used to listen to him more, but and we disagree on a lot of things. But one of my favorite speakers, he's a rabbi named Rabbi Simon Jacobs. You could look him up, Rabbi Simon Jacobs, like Simon, but he pronounces it Simon, I believe. Uh, yeah, he said that for one thing he said I loved also was that your name is a mini prophecy, and so he doesn't help anyone name in his congregation or anyone. He won't help them name their child because he believes
I'll be right
that
back.
okay,
I'm
he
just grabbing a
believes
charger.
okay, he believes it's like a mini prophecy and that your parents should have that honor basically, or and they're more connected to you, so they should do it. So you could hear me though, right?
Yeah.
All right. And so the other thing he said that was important because it was my birthday was that your birthday in that same like abstract way, like mystical way, because he practices Kabbalah. He's like super, mystical version of Judaism. He said that your birthday represents you more than anything else, any other day, because that day shows your purpose on why you're here. Just like
Hmm.
your birth was your purpose for being here, right? Like you were brought into this world, right? And so your birthday shows your purpose, right? So what you do on your birthday is going to it's going to mirror and reflect that purpose.
Hmm.
And so I had this in mind when I had this experience, and what that experience was I am walking towards.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Looking out, Bubba. Thank you.
It's my dog trying to tell us he's hungry.
Yeah, but being loud in the
Yeah.
process, which is okay. But so I'm keeping this in mind on my birthday, looking for all those extra signs, right? Or more important signs. And I am walking over to this fruit tree in my neighborhood that has fruit on it. And so I go to the tree, and before I could see if there's any fruit on the ground, because I don't ever pick the fruit, I only take what's off the ground and has already fell.
Hmm.
And so I'm in my mind, and I don't pray at all, but in my mind, and so I do once in a while, but in my mind, I go, please show me, or please let there be one fruit, right? Because in my mind, if there's one fruit, then that shows me that God is trying to help me on my path, right? He's literally feeding me. So, right, and on my birthday, right, this is gonna represent, and so before I could see if there's any fruit, I'm looking around for the fruit on the ground while this is going on in my head. This thought is in my head. Please can I have one fruit, or please
Sorry.
let there be one fruit. And I hear a plop on the ground, and I turn around, and it's a fruit.
Wow.
Yep. And then I look even so it was the fruit that fell on the ground, and then I look around, and there's three fruit, right? And I'm born on March 3rd, and so I took that as even more signs. But
Hmm.
anyways, that was the whole whole thing. But yeah, that's it.
No, that's a good one. Like
Yeah.
the fact that it like plopped right
Right.
there,
Right then.
right
Yeah.
then. And the fact there was only three at first, and
No, I didn't see any at first.
well, I'm
After
just
I saw,
saying.
yeah,
Oh, well, was the
after I
three
saw the
already there?
first, so there were two already there. I didn't see the other two until
Oh, there
after
was
the
three
first
Oh,
one
total.
okay.
fell. So yeah.
But yeah, that's like yeah, they were the fact that there was only two there to begin with, like
Mm.
before you, like it wasn't like there's a bunch of fruit falling. Like yeah, you're gonna hear one fall. It's
I've never
like
heard it fall before. Never fell
yeah,
in front, or even when wind or rain was going.
Yeah.
I never heard it. Never seen it fall.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've always just picked them up.
Well, one thing I'll say for the viewers and for you guys as well
Mhm.
is um not saying that you don't just going off what you were just saying, like I would highly recommend, even if you don't believe, praying, and it doesn't have to be to I mean, I wouldn't do it to like uh the devil, but I would pray and just test it out. Like you were doing, you were essentially just testing it out, but um it's something that in my life is very, like it is kind of how you described it. You don't necessarily want to pray for, I want a new car. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you don't necessarily want to be like, I want a new car, I want
Mhm.
this or want that. If you yeah, I won't even tell you how to do it, but just try it out, and it's essentially like you're talking to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, and you'd be surprised, just to the viewers and to everyone, like how it's essentially, in my eyes, it's like a relationship with God or whatever, and that's technically what it is. And yeah, it's, at least test it out, try it out.
Yeah.
Like the fruit, you may get the fruit, and oh, it's more about like what we were talking about with the Demon Slayer movie, to bring it full circle, like
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
the inner guidance, if you're working on something like for wisdom, for patience, for loving. Those are things that, in my experience, they come to you like that when you just, it may be a psychological thing for the skeptics. It may just be a psychological, like, you acknowledge the patience or whatever it is you're praying about, and it but it there are some times when, like, I'll feel like, oh, I'll never get out of this funk or this whatever it may be, and it goes away like that. Personally, I pray to Jesus, but I'm sure it doesn't have to be like that. From what I've heard, you can pray to just God and the universe.
I wanted to say, I love that you told that little story about the fruit. I don't mean to like be diminutive by calling it a little story,
No, I didn't feel like that. Hmm.
but it was a short one.
Hmm.
But
There you go.
I feel like a cynical person might just say, "Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Like that's just such a that's a meaningless experience."
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to play devil's advocate, so
Hmm.
I like to see multiple perspectives of things. However, someone might see it like that, and it is a small thing to acknowledge, but the fact that you noticed it and gave it meaning is what's important, I think. And it meant something to you, so that makes it important, at least to me.
That's what
Right.
it's all about. Yeah,
Yeah,
because a cynical person might, or just like some people might live their whole life and never realize like what's around them, like
right.
um the people or the little things like the fruits and the
Yeah.
puppies. I mean, puppies and dogs are just like, they're on the level of people, but so are the little
I
things
like to think
basically.
so. Yeah, I
That was a
think,
sign for me that like I'm on the right path, that I'm
yeah,
giving that God wants me to be on this path, and I'll be helped on this path
and
by God, if only, and only if it's in the way that I know that I'm with God and I'm on the right side. It doesn't
fruit is such a classic symbol of,
life.
yeah, life, nourishment, achievement, even
Mm.
the fruits of our labor,
Yes.
so
Right.
that was an important experience for you.
Right.
And even if it might seem so insignificant to someone else.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I was asking for a sign. That's where I think it's important to ask for only things that will um yeah, be good. And you have to it's so funny, so in Halloween Town, one of the greatest films of all time, straight up, like, and made by people who worked on Twin Peaks. So if you don't know yet, it's one of them. uh um So the thing about magic is all you have to do is want something and then let yourself have it. So it's really it's it's intention, and it's it's all to do with you being in the way of yourself, right? If you're not getting something, it's probably because you don't deserve it, or because
or you don't need it.
you don't need it. There you
Yeah.
go. Thank you. So we're
Often it's the simplest things that
right.
we need, like fruit.
Thank you. And yes, exactly. And this is what I bring up all the time when it comes to prayer is God. There's a Bible verse in John, I believe it goes, God knows what you need before you ask him
Mm.
for it. Okay. So that's why I don't pray, is because I don't pray very much, is because, you know, um God literally knows, right? I don't need to it's good to set the right intentions, and sometimes, make the extra effort, but yeah.
I can also be very cynical. That's another reason I brought up that viewpoint. I can be a bit of a cynic sometimes, but
Mhm.
I try to push back on that as well. Again, like we were talking about with the movie, angel and demon, we have both.
Yeah. And yeah, we're all in the same boat. Like I said, I tend to lean on the side of like, um, I don't know what you would call it, but I also have to do the opposite and kind of bring myself to reality sometimes,
Mhm.
or at least play devil's advocate in the other way and be like, yeah, like remind myself of the cynical view. And one last thing about praying, um, it's not always about, like I said, it's a relationship with God, and the way that I look at it is, it's like, you definitely don't want to call your mom only when you need something. You also want to call her to thank her or tell her about your day, or so it's not that you were saying that, but like that's the way I find it
I'm just
most
saying
I've heard
that's the
helpful.
that,
dangerous way. That's the dangerous way of doing it, right?
but
Yeah.
If you're only
yeah,
asking for things, right?
Yeah.
if you're only talking, I've heard that
And
sentiment
if you're
expressed before by devout Christians that it's supposed to be a relationship with God,
hmm,
not just like you said, not just praying when you need something. Um, so yeah, like you said, you wouldn't just call your mom when you need to be bailed out of jail or you need groceries
Right.
or whatever. Um,
And
Sometimes you can just call just to say hi.
yeah.
mhm.
Bail out of jail,
That's
that's
how my
funny.
relationship is with God, And
Yeah.
one thing I heard from a former religious person, they said, I don't have a religion, I have a relationship.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm always thinking about God and what God wants, which Manly P. Hall, one of my favorite authors, he said, God wants, or sorry, not God wants, but like the formula for righteous action and wise choice is what is the greatest good for the most people, or what is the greatest good for the most beings, because I
Hmm.
include animals,
Of
vegan.
course.
I've been vegan 7 years. I believe they're part of the people that the individuals that we should have in that equation. So when I'm always like I'm always trying to keep it cognizant for God, which, like I said, is part of everything, and that's why I respect it. It's part of me, and it's in you, and that's why, or that's not why, but that's why we're both sacred, and that's why I should respect both of us.
When we get to this topic about surrounding God and this kind of subject matter, the word religion, to me is a tricky word because personally, I'm very anti-organized religion.
Hmm.
The church, not any one particular, any church
Hmm.
can be capable of some terrible things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not saying all of them, not saying always, but I've had some pretty negative experiences with churches. So I'm very against organized religion. However, I am becoming, as I go on this journey of life, I am becoming more and more spiritual. not necessarily leaning one way or the other towards any one religion, but
Hmm.
living in a Western country, I've grown up and been raised Christian, and there's Christianity and themes in everything in our culture.
Yeah,
So
that's fair, and that's a common experience. I've heard a lot of people have similar experiences, and I am just lucky in that I had yeah, I won't get into all of it, but yeah, I had my we talked Mike and I talked about it earlier. I had my atheist phase in like middle school where um but it wasn't because of my church. Um but so I but I completely understand what you're saying with the organized
mhm.
religion. I would consider myself religious, but um I look at churches like now as a religious person, I do believe there is one true church in terms of Christianity. There is a true church, but that's a story for another day. The
And that's
other
each
church,
own person's individual beliefs,
right? In
too.
each church, that's what I was kind of getting at. Is like with what you were saying on the note of what you're saying. I look at churches like people, you know.
Yes.
Um, there's some good ones and there's and also to acknowledge what we've been saying, like there is no like good person or bad person. They've got
Right.
like good and evil and inside all of them. But
Mhm.
like yeah, there's churches out there that are just as evil as but I wouldn't consider that the church is kind of what I meant by there's one true church. That isn't to say anything about any other religion, but
Well,
I
there's a
have a
saying, sorry, there's a saying that goes like, we all have two wolves inside of us. One is good and one is bad, and it all depends which one you feed, right? The most, or something
I don't
like
know if
that.
I've ever heard that.
I
That's a
heard
good
that.
one.
I think that's
Yeah, no,
an
you said it
indigenous
really well. Yeah.
sentiment, I think, like Native
Yes,
American
I think so
potentially.
as well. I remember it like that as well.
On on the note of animals and what Mike was saying about animals being beings, I have this thing on my desk. This is okay, this is hilarious. I've
It
had
looks
this
like a
here.
snapping turtle. I love it.
Yes, but catch this. I open it up. This has been like this for a long time. You can open it up, and what's inside of it? A little
Aw,
baby.
I
A
love
soul.
that.
A soul.
That's
Yeah,
adorable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah.
So
I put that there a long time ago, but I opened it while you were talking about that, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
it's a little
there's a
being
sign.
inside of a little
Yeah,
being."
Speaking of indigenous sentiment and stories, that story about the world turtle, like the world being on the back of a turtle.
turtles all the way down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I read
and
that.
but that's like a symbol for the pattern of life. There's the 28 days in the month, and the 13 months on a tortoise shell, right?
Yeah,
Each each 28 days, right? And then or 28 days around, and then 13 of the. So, anyways, that's I think that's where that comes from, where they put that on there, and but that's like to show you the fractal nature of like everything,
Hmm.
he's
for
insane.
the forked lightning being like the forked branch of a tree being like the
Veins.
So we were
the
just talking
veins,
about the
exactly.
Fibonacci spiral.
Right.
Remember when we went to
Yes.
that museum?
Yes. Oh,
That appears in nature like everywhere, and it can be explained with math.
that's the perfect and there you go.
Yeah.
Before we were saying at the same time, that's the perfection in math,
Hmm. They
Uh,
say math is like the language of the
yeah.
universe or the language of science,
Yes.
which I definitely agree.
Yeah. The universal language.
Mhm.
Um,
Music is another universal language, which is something when people say they don't like musicals. Kind of going back to talking about the movie.
Hmm.
When a lot of people say they don't like musicals, because it's unrealistic to burst into song, which I can appreciate, I can understand that viewpoint.
Hmm.
However, to me, I feel like stories that are told through musicals are almost more impactful because music is a universal language, and especially with this movie, a lot of the songs, if not all of them, have uh plenty of lyrics that are in Korean. So if obviously if you don't know that language, you're not going to understand those lyrics. However, the music still will communicate to you.
Mm. Right.
So yeah, that's it about that.
Well, that is going into this creative and free and more you know open form of expression. When we had another 3.5 hour video and spoke about things that were the most off topic from the movie,
It was the
and
honey don't.
most of it was the Honey Don't, which is
Uh-huh.
also a feminine led movie, and it's the only other review where we had, well, three people, which there's three girls in this movie, three women,
Hmm.
and there's the three fates, and then there's yeah, well, in that movie, I don't know if there's three women, but anyways, uh three is
I think there is
well,
in Honey Don't.
right.
There's
There's
three,
probably more.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more, but I
But
think
which
there's
ones?
three prominent female
Which
characters.
ones are you thinking?
Honey,
Yeah.
the her love
Secretary.
interest,
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza's character,
Uh-huh.
and her niece.
Okay, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Three
Yeah.
central female characters
And
to
yes.
the story.
The yeah. And not usually, but like I've even had a synchronicity where it was like angelic women saving me and my friend from like being lost in this national park for hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a there was the Virgin, the Maiden, and the Brood,
Hmm.
or the whatever the old lady
Crone, maybe.
the crone. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they're. Uh, I don't know if I'll ever have time to share this, so let's share it. Fuck it. So I've had a altered reality experience where yeah, I was on DMT, and basically I saw, or not basically, I did see, close my eyes, lean back on the couch, the futon, and a portal of fire opened up on the ceiling, but where the ceiling would be, level with where the ceiling would be, but it was on blackness because my eyes were closed. And it was a portal of fire, like rippling, like as fire does. And blackness inside of it and blackness out around it until three feminine-ish, like more androgynous angels, I call them. They didn't have wings, but they were floating and hovering and flying. That were copper, silver, and gold sparkle color, but
Hmm.
predominantly copper. And they were floating like this, kind of like they're like,
Like very straight and rigid.
no, not really.
Oh,
More,
okay.
yeah, they were angled like this,
Oh,
and
okay.
they were in a circle. So it was one, two, and
Oh.
three, and they're going like this, turning, and one of them leaves that circle. I wish I remember if it was clockwise or counterclockwise, but I
Hmm.
can't because I think that would have been significant. But anyways, it leaves the circle, uh, comes out of the portal, goes in. It is now in basically where the room space of the room would be, and comes up and like floats to me through the room like Peter Pan did, and goes to me like this.
Hmm.
I don't know. I hope that was on the camera, but
Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
caressing the underneath of my chin, and then like starts floating away.
huh.
But I felt drool on like liquid on my. It felt just like drool on the tip of my lip, and And when I went to go see if it was there, it wasn't. It was not. It was dry, but I felt it. So like this is like an extra sense that it's like kind of like in Friday the third or Freddy or Nightmare on Elm Street, where like the spirit or like the dream world is also has a physical aspect, you know, and so and it can affect physical reality. And so, but anyways, yeah,
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
there it goes. No, I'm just kidding. But then it started dematerializing the whole vision, and you know, like literally, like you know, like like I explained it, like the transparency on it went up, right? It just became more transparent, and everything kind of just disintegrated. And I opened my eyes, and then I closed it again, and nothing's there. So yeah, but there we go. Talking about and since it's three, you know, they were flat chested. So I don't know exactly if they
you
were
mentioned androgynous.
right,
Androgynous.
and they had hair like to here, and it was curly, you know, like very curly and wavy, and also sparkled silver, gold, and copper. And
I
yeah,
love androgyny. I think it's beautiful and fascinating. We had a synchronous, speaking of animals, going back a little bit, but we had a synchronicity today, I think, during this review.
oh gosh,
When you were
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah,
about your experience with Maggie,
yes,
that was the first time and the longest time that my dog came up to us just
yeah,
completely on his
Yeah.
own.
yeah,
I
Oh
love
yeah.
that. I thought that was fascinating.
yeah. They're you know,
They know.
yeah, they know, yeah.
Yeah. I think dogs are the best of us.
They feel that they have an extra sense, you
Yes.
know,
Yep.
and like we're on that dog loving vibe, and he feels it from across the room
Yeah.
almost, you
Yep.
know,
He felt it for sure.
and
And that can all be proven with science as well.
hmm,
The relationship between us and dogs.
yeah, I was thinking about that more. So there's a post on my Instagram. Remember, check it out, the Pure Pill.
Mhm.
There you go, look it up, and it's the breakdown of Anubis. You just watch the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like maybe the last thing I posted. But anyways, also I've been thinking about dogs and how they got to be the ones that aren't eaten. And I feel like it's because they were the most useful to humans. And they they protected, you know, the herd, and they you know, they
Helped us hunt and
yeah, helped us hunt
whatnot.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why they've become so close. But yeah, dogs are super, like in this book I'm reading by R.J. Stewart, he say it's the hound, or not the hound, like every dog other than a hound. I didn't even understand. Didn't make sense. He's like the dog, but not hound specifically.
Hmm.
The pig, the cow, the crow.
I guess not all dogs are hounds.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yes. I don't know exactly what he meant
Um,
by that, but these are, and the bear. These are all of the totem animals or something like that. I was like, this is crazy, but
wow.
that was like something special about them, you know.
I
My
wonder
handle.
if
Sorry, I just wanted to mention real quick.
no, you're
My
good.
handle here, real quick, if anyone's interested, Gleeful Demons. That's my Instagram handle. I pretty much exclusively post about my dogs. If anyone's interested.
Then
That's
it's
funny.
perfect today. We had it on there with the Demons Hunters movie we're
Is
talking
this
about.
a
Yeah.
is this book a new book? Or it's
I've talked to you a little bit about it, but yeah, no, it's not a new book. It's like probably
okay,
from the
so it's
80s or 90s.
okay. Well, I wonder if hounds, because I know there's like hound dogs and bloodhounds, which are like hunting dogs, but they're like
Hmm.
uh
My dogs are hounds, greyhounds.
oh right, right. I was gonna say I wonder if a hound is either like an old term for like something different from like
Good. Yeah.
a regular dog,
Right.
I
or
think I think the term hound. My husband's bringing him into view. I think the term
That's
hound.
a funny view.
This is Clive,
Hello,
the one
Clive.
who's come up to us several times. But I think the term hound or the word hound originated in German, if I'm not mistaken, and it probably is related to hunting specifically. And not all dogs are bred for the purpose of hunting. So that's probably why not all dogs are considered hounds, but all hounds are dogs.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I
A lot
love
of
it.
ground here.
Dogs,
Loved it.
Yeah.
aliens, Anubis, which is like aliens and dogs.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Anubis?
To sum up,
Anubis is like the
Anubis.
Egyptian god with the dog head,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
To sum it up, though, Anubis, I cracked this code by looking at Yoda and Dobby, who are literally like, they have the pointed ears of Anubis, but they also are not human, but
Yeah.
still sentient and have a god spirit in them, basically. And so, and they're very spiritual and wise, and like an old man, teach you a lot. But the dog teaches us, and Anubis is the god that brings you to heaven, basically, or brings you to the afterlife.
God to the afterlife.
Exactly. So he dogs, in my eyes, what they were either subconsciously putting on that symbol or in that god, or were doing it consciously, purposefully. They it was that dogs actually prepare you for death because they're going to die before you, and pharaohs had dogs as well, and so
They would often bury their dogs with them.
right, and they're preparing you for death
Like they would
because
embalm their dogs just
Yes.
like humans and
Right, right.
prepare them, and they would be buried together in the pyramids and tombs and whatnot.
they prepare you for death because they die before you, right? And so you're going to have to think about your own mortality sooner. And so they're going to, in a way, metaphorically, help you get to the afterlife because you're going to make that transition easier, make that process simpler for yourself. Good night, Kevin Bob. And another thing that I recently learned is, well, that I kind of discovered on my own, but thing that I recently learned was that this, and of course this was in like a booklet that I was Halloween in the class I was subbing for, so I saw this, but the
Here he comes again.
skeletons in the skeletons in Hollow on Halloween are supposed to, the decorations are supposed to subconsciously prepare children for their own mortality, start thinking about it, so start having to confront that. And a beautiful, in the movie, the Barbie movie, I came out well, I mean, immediately when I heard this I loved it, but the first like things in the movie, the first words in the movie are, "I'm gonna die," or something like
She
that.
says, do you guys ever think about death?
No, no,
Is
no.
that what you're talking about?
I think later on she thinks it, or that comes
Okay.
up.
I love
But
the Barbie movie. It's so
The
good.
Barbie in that monolith scene with the Barbie,
Uh-huh.
that's actually
Okay.
what when it happens.
Gotcha.
And
I
yeah,
don't remember that part,
yeah.
but the Barbie movie was great.
He's like, we need to start thinking about dying, guys. But at the same time, it could be a bad thing. Max Heindel talks about like something. He doesn't call it this, but and he doesn't give it a name, so it's hard to say. But it's like basically the shadow of death, or knowing your own mortality. It drives our decisions. And so if you think that when you die nothing happens and this is the only life you have, then you're gonna basically do whatever you want in this life because it's the only chance you have to do anything. So you could be reckless. And so
Yep.
that could be a bad thing. But I
Right.
think if we start thinking about death sooner rather than later, we'll start actually hopefully being able to come to terms with that mortality in a more positive way faster. And you know so hopefully, if you start as a child, in this book called "The Island" by Aldous Huxley, who's like a super trippy psychedelic
I've-
guy.
Aldous Huxley, he wrote
Yes.
Brave New World.
Yes,
I've read
exactly.
that.
In "The Island," though, it's a utopia story
Okay.
instead, and the boys are they've like, or I don't know, maybe all the children, but this is at least what my friend told me who read the book. He said they're confronting their fear of death, and they've already conquered their fear of death, and they like some of the activities they do is like super like brave things, like jumping off of cliffs into water, and like being more free, and not so, I guess, worried about your mortality, I guess. But
If anybody is interested in a fantastic movie about death, there's a mosquito in here. One of my favorite movies of all time, and I think one of the last great Disney movies, is Coco. There's
it fell
there's
asleep, but I want to see it.
there's a spirit guide hound dog in that movie.
Oh gosh, there you go.
Love him so much. If you know, you know. But Coco is it's a brilliant film. It's about the Mexican celebration of Halloween, the Day of the Dead, Dia de los
which is
Muertos.
tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
today now. Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, today.
Yeah, today.
Yeah. At least we'll gain another hour, because at 2 it goes
Oh,
fall
right.
back.
Right. Yep.
So, but that being said, let's is everyone happy and satisfied?
I think
we
so.
we did our
It's time to
best.
cut it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I think we had
I-
a really great, well-rounded discussion this time.
Yeah, this will be the other one that I reference everyone to, because I've already referenced
Yeah.
everyone to Honey Don't.
Yeah.
But if you want the worldview, go to Honey Don't, and this. I don't know.
More
there's
about
not much-
spirituality, I think,
Yes,
for this
exactly.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's where I get my worldview from. So
Mhm.
these are the you put aside 7 hours, and you're good.
No, this is exactly the kind of stuff I love to listen to while I'm working, because
Yeah.
I sit at a computer all day, so I'm gonna put on
Oh.
something like this and listen while I work.
Yeah.
Are both boys here?
No, just one. Do
Child,
you have
Oh
any
my
last words,
gosh.
Clive?
children.
One of the
The
stars.
other one's over there snorting.
Yeah, one of the stars of my Instagram account.
Child, come.
Jake. Oh, he wants to be
baby's
with
going to
he
sleep.
wants to be with his dad.
All right, love you guys. Thank you so much. We're gonna
Thanks again for having me, Mike.
have a good time. Peace, y'all.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Oh, there's the children. Both children. All right.
They're under the table.
All right, bye. I love you.
Gotta get one last shot of the puppies.
Yes. Any night. All right. There's his face. They look identical, but
Yeah.
different barks. That's an
Yes.
inside
Yeah.
joke for everyone who actually watched the video.
Yeah.
All right.
Good
Thanks,
night.
guys. Bye. Good night.